In 5, 4. Oh, actually, no, it's now. Hey everybody. Welcome back to Aloy running actual plays on the Nerd Eye Twitch channel. But also you can check this out on my YouTube channel as well. Back from the last AMP game that I ran, we have Crystal, Ray, and Martin. And joining us newly is going to be Damani, who is a longtime friend. I met him at Dragon Con, funny enough. And he's written on some Part-Time Gods stuff. So I was like, hey, let's invite Damani. Let's see if he wants to come play. Instead of actually just coming with characters made, I told everybody to just come with some ideas and some concepts and stuff. And we're actually going to make our Pantheon together because I like that. I think it fits better whenever you're doing that, especially for this type of game. With AMP, it's different, like, because each person is more like just unto themselves. Whereas with Part-Time Gods, the Pantheon, it does make a lot of the game happen, is the interaction between the characters. So I think that that's going to be a lot of fun. I did also send the four of you a lot of additional material that is not actually out for the public. So if any of you guys want that stuff, obviously the stuff from the upcoming companion, which should be out late January, early February, that's coming, I assure you. Or I also sent you guys stuff for the Touched. I don't know if anybody got a chance to read that stuff because I sent it kind of last minute, but it's there, saying it's there. So I guess everybody has a character sheet. All right, cool. Lots of nodding. So everybody's got a character sheet. I guess let's start at the beginning. First step is going to be occupation. This is the first thing that we pick as Part-Time Gods. We try to establish the mortal side of the character first. And so yeah, we're going to do occupation first. Does anybody already come with an occupation like in mind already, or... All right. Oh, Martin has one and Damani has one. So Martin, what do you got?
So I was going with the athlete occupation and being an Olympic gymnast and stuff.
So under physical athlete.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Very cool. And that gives you 2 free time and 4 wealth. Let me see. You get a level 2 either individual or landmark bond. One for either your training facility or your coach. And then let's see. Your blessing is that you get +1 speed whenever you're racing against something. And your bad thing, of course, is dumb jock, and it's that people sometimes think you're stupid, so they kind of treat you that way, even though being an athlete has no bearing on your intellectual capacity. Cool. That's a good one. I like that. Not everybody picks athletes. Damani, what you got?
Mine is actually very close to athlete, like next one down. Going with a fighter, but specifically like a bouncer.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and that's, if you were going to do a bouncer, I would definitely say fighter is the way to go. And I was like, should I have a cleric and a wizard in here? But I was like, no, it's just, we're going to go fighter. All right, cool. Well, then that gets you 3 free time, 3 wealth, either a level 2 group or a level 2 landmark for fighting community or gyms, or not fighting community, could be, other bouncers, stuff like that. And then your good thing is that you get +1 intuition to see, to look somebody up and like see if they're a threat. But of course you have a dark past because you've done some things that you might not want coming to light. That's fun. I like that. All right. So Crystal and Ray, what you guys got?
I will be this evening rolling on the random chart. Because
Oh,
you have amazing random charts. I do like your random charts.
So they are amazing random
big.
charts.
All right, ready? So my character is low class.
Okay.
Good start. I'm a low class GM's choice.
Okay.
So,
I'm gonna say service industry.
I love it. That's perfect. And I'm a low class service industry. I'm a low class mortician.
Nice.
So I would have never ever picked a mortician in a million years, but I'm one now. That's pretty
So
rad.
what that gives you is going to give you 3 free time, 3 wealth.
Okay.
You get the choice of either a level 2 individual or a level 2 landmark bond, that either being your another medical examiner, like the medical examiner or somebody who runs the parlor, or your landmark bond can be your parlor.
I'm going to do landmark.
Okay. So you get a level 2 landmark.
Cool.
Your blessing is called Dressing the Dead, and you basically it's morticians can apply their skill to beautifying the dead to living people as well. So you gain +1 deception to apply believable makeup for disguises.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then your bad thing is called Discomfort the Living. And most people dislike thinking about death or funerals, so gain 1 Pantheon die when the gods' frank and casual discussion of death alienates those around them, increasing difficulties of social checks.
So would that be under curses?
That's your occupational curse there.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, discomfort the living, and it's that's truth right there. By the way, because my mom is a nurse. And we'll be sitting there eating, and she'll be like, "Oh man, you wouldn't imagine this tumor that I saw, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "I don't want to hear about that." She's like, "Oh, like it's just my life, so like it doesn't affect me at all, but it affects other people." So
absolutely, my wife is also a nurse, so
yes,
I do that as well.
Crystal, what are you thinking?
So I also rolled on the randomization chart because I tend to pick the same type of character occupations whenever I play this game, so I didn't want to do that.
Sounds good.
So I got a medical, and then I rolled a scientist.
Ooh, okay.
So I am going to go all in with that.
I guess we are. I love it. It's just like, I mean, I guess I'm a scientist then. You can roll again. I mean, let's see. So
no, this will be interesting. This will definitely be interesting.
So you end up with 2 free time and 4 wealth on that one. You get a level 2 individual or landmark, 1 for either my assistant or 1 for my lab. Which one did you take of that?
I am going to take my lab.
Okay. And then your blessing is called the scientific method, and that gives +1 crafts for mixing solutions and testing theories, creating interesting effects, all that stuff. So you get +1 crafts whenever you're trying to do sciencey things. Of course, science is like hand wavy stuff. Like I do a thing, I do an experiment. What's the result? I'm not gonna like ask you, so what solution do you use to modify the? It's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And then your bad thing is your curse is don't care what it takes, and they'll risk everything to discover the truth. And it's gain 1 Pantheon die if you sacrifice something important in the name of experimentation. So sounds good. I love it. All right, so everybody knows what their occupation is now.
Yeah, I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Just so I'm aware. So once we have our occupation, it looks like I also look at like service industry, and that begins to tell me what my skills are. Is that correct?
Yes. Okay. So I wasn't.
Cool.
Yeah. So the first thing you do, all of these things that we've selected are under broad categories. Athlete and fighter are under the physical category, and that tells you your skills. For service industry, let's see. For service industry, that's right, because you don't have that in front.
I have it right here. I think I found it.
Okay, yes. So for service industry, that gives you +1 deception, +1 influence, +1 marksman, +1 medicine, +1 perform.
Cool. Thank you.
So yes. So those are the ones you get, and then a smattering of other game qualifier things.
Gotcha. Cool. Thank you.
And honestly, the occupation is one of the toughest and one of the easiest choices, because it's tough because it kind of defines a lot about your character, like what their occupation is. And then at the same time, it's the more straightforward of all the choices. Like you get this, you get this, you get this, done.
Sure. Yeah.
There's choices involved with every other choice. There's a bunch of different things that you can go in a lot of million different directions. But since there's so many occupations, I tried to make that one easy. All right, cool. Well, then I guess we'll wait for Crystal to come back real quick before we move on to step 2.
I think. Sorry. Yeah.
What? Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think of the 2 options I've had so far, I'm leaning towards the individual attachment as as my coach.
Okay.
As opposed to my training facility. I think I've got some ideas for landmarks and stuff, but I think I like them more supernaturally divine related rather than just, okay, I go here to sweat. So, and having the coach be like, come on, you need to do this, or the people from Japan are going to wipe the floor with you. Keep on. It seems like a good character to throw in there.
Yeah. Well, and in that case too, like your individual bond, whenever you have an individual bond, like on the map, it ends up, you can also have it represent like a place, like, well, where my coach is at the place that I study. So, but obviously there's different benefits that come from either an individual bond versus a landmark bond. A landmark bond would mean that, like, if a fight was happening in your training facility, you could get bonuses, you know, to operating within that area and all that stuff. If it's an individual bond, then it's cool. Like, you can ask him for favors and he can like do stuff with you, but not necessarily as useful like to that location, even though you go there to see him. Anyway, it's a whole thing. All right, cool. So we were waiting for you to come back. Hey, Crystal, everything cool? Or you did mute yourself, so I can't unmute you.
No, I did. I was filling in my PDF, so I was in a different window. No, I had to go congratulate my husband, so he just accepted a new job offer. So,
Cool.
Congrats. All right, cool. So the next step then is archetypes. So archetypes are fun. This is where we kind of choose what type of personality the character has. And there used to be only 12 different archetypes. I use archetypes like Jungian archetypes, but I added 6 more in the new book. So now there are a ton more to kind of choose from. And obviously you can roll randomly. I do have a chart here, or you can choose one. The ones that existed already were hero, rebel, wanderer, caregiver, dreamer, tyrant, companion, fool, lover, innocent, sage, and visionary. Lots of them. And what I added was the shadow, the chaste, and the judge, as well as the doomed, the demon, and the trickster. So depending upon what type of personality you are wanting your character to have, I can maybe point you in the direction of 1 or 2 that you might want to look at.
I think I'm gonna roll.
You're gonna roll randomly? Go for it.
Again, because I don't want my mortician to be too on the nose, right? I mean, they have a life. They have stuff going on.
And can I say the artwork for the archetypes is just like the prettiest thing ever?
Yes,
it's really well done.
The tarot cards are she's amazing, and I've like, you know, as a publisher, I'm always trying to find ways to like save money and stuff like that, but like I don't care. Like for the archetypes, I'll pay the extra money. Like I have to, because they each have to have their own illustration. It just has to happen. Because again, they're like one of my favorite parts of the game. So I think Martin, you had said that you were kind of looking at Dreamer. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I like, again, the art. It's so pretty, and it kind of goes with this with the character. Like this person is an Olympic athlete. They're chasing this incredible dream, and they're one of the few people who are able to do that. But they get, I don't know, just the whole head in the clouds thing kind of feels. Right.
I dig that for the Dreamer. All right, cool. Well, with that, obviously comes some skills. Then you get you get +2. You either get +2 landmark bond levels, or you get +2 levels for a relic. So you get to choose. And then you have the choice of 3 blessings. That's actually the archetype blessings are some of my favorites. So freedom in all things is +1 to break your city, break out of cuffs or break out of a cage, whatever. Then, or you can get +2 to craft if you're building something or trying to be creative. Or you can get stroke of genius, which is once per session when taking dice from the Pantheon pool, every die you take counts as 2 dice. So that's pretty cool. So
Yeah,
those would be your 3 choices there for Dreamer.
I'm leaning towards freedom in all things. I think that's appropriate.
Okay. Freedom, that's kind of what I was thinking for your character, the Olympian and whatnot. Especially since I get the whole thing, I get the image of like somebody trying to hold you and then you're just like, like, you can't hold me, I'm an Olympian, what?
Exactly.
And then your 2 curses are daydreaming or being a perfectionist.
I think for an Olympian, I like daydreaming. It's awesome, but I think for an Olympian, being a perfectionist is essential.
That kind of makes sense.
Got to do it. Like, beat myself up, do the flip so many times until I'm dizzy, but gotta get it perfect.
Wow. It honestly makes it like I almost would have just said, no, you need to take the Dreamer just so that you can have the perfectionist curse as an Olympian athlete. Oh man. So what is everybody else thinking?
So I was looking at the new archetypes, and it's like, wow, there was a lot in there, but I actually decided to go with one of the older ones. I'm kind of picturing this guy as almost like a neighborhood big brother. Like he knows a lot of people. Like the guy walking around, I was like, hey, what's going on? How's your family? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So hero was kind of what I was leaning towards because it's like I'm looking out for a bunch of people, but at the same time, feels like kind of responsible for a lot of it too.
Well, so that would be my question here, because that's kind of where, because I would say either hero or possibly companion, because hero would be if you're like looking out for people and you're like there to protect them. Companion's more like, ooh, like we're all here for each other, like, we're all looking out for each other. So that's an interesting, just they're basically kind of the same thing, but slightly different.
I would like to change my answer to companion now. I think that fits a little bit better.
Very cool. All right. Well, then companion, page 52. Let me see. So you end up with some skills. You get +2, either +2 individual bond levels or +2 worshiper levels. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
And then your blessings are either community leader, which is the first lead follow-up from a group bond is free each session. So that's nice. Normally you have to pay some money. But in this case, you're like, hey, everybody knows me. You do me a favor. It's nice. Or fairness, which is +1 influence when making arguments against inequality, injustice, or fighting for fairness. Or making friends, which reduces the XP cost for individual and group bonds. That obviously doesn't benefit you in the first session, but it would benefit you in future sessions.
Right.
So you would want to pick one of those 3. And then your 2 curses are identity crisis, which is one, it's like identity crisis is like sometimes becoming part of the crowd. You lose yourself in the process. Like you're just part of the group as opposed to an individual anymore. And then it's basically gain +1 Pantheon die when you give in to dangerous peer pressure or become just another face in the wrong kind of crowd. So there's that, or there's loyal to a fault, because you're out for everybody. Sometimes you'll be so loyal that like, oh man, like now I have to do this thing, even though I don't really want to. So yeah, kind of stinks, but there you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thinking community leader and loyal to a fault seems like it's going to fit this guy.
Works for me. I could tell you kind of perked up when you heard community leader.
I was like, yeah, that's the one.
Ray and Crystal, what are you guys thinking?
I don't know, Crystal, do you have an idea?
So I rolled on the randomization chart again for this one.
Okay.
And I think it's going to fit really well with the other parts of my character creation ideas. So I rolled Doomed.
Nice.
Specifically Death Wish.
Oh yes. So, ooh, I love the doomed so much. Okay, so let me go to the doomed. All right, so you already got your skills and your attachments. You get either a +2 group or +2 individual.
Where do I find the doomed? That's I was trying to find that.
It's a new thing. That's right. Okay, so your skills
Okay.
are either +1 athletics. I'll mark it. I'll tell you so you can mark it. +1 athletics, +1 fortitude, +1 intuition, +1 survival, +1 travel. First off, that's like all the good skills. Just saying. Then you get either +2 group bond levels or +2 individual group bond levels.
Okay.
So you just bonus levels you can put anywhere. You don't have to spend them right now or anything.
Okay.
Then you specifically rolled randomly for Death Wish. Okay. So let me tell you the 2 you didn't get, and then I'll tell you the one you got. The learn from mistakes is pretty cool. This is basically anytime that you would add dice to the Pantheon pool from a critical failure, you would add an additional one. So bonus Pantheon dice for failing. It's fun. The the other one is called the Upside, and it's essentially so you know that, let me see. The Doom knows that with good comes the bad, and this is all part of their story. So at the start of every scene, you have to make a roll, and you actually get a personal stash of bonus dice that you can use in that scene, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
But any dice that aren't used or lost and whatnot. And essentially, the difficulty for every scene keeps getting higher and higher until you fail. And when you fail, bad stuff happens. So it's like, oh, I'm on a lucky streak. This is so. Oh nope, it's terrible now. So that's why they're the doomed. I love them so much. But what you got was Death Wish, and this is those close to the doomed see someone with a Death Wish because they are not afraid to put themselves in harm's way. You gain +1 to any check where you take on danger for someone else, such as taking a hit for an ally or being the one to complete an apparent suicide mission. So essentially, anytime that you're gonna like, I'll take it because I'm doomed anyway, you get a bonus die. So there you go.
Nice.
Your 2 curses to choose from. Did you roll for that?
I did not roll for that.
Okay, well then your 2 choices are the Hanged Man, which is essentially you're the one that always kind of gets in the lurch. So gain 1 Pantheon die if you were captured, trapped, taken hostage, or whatever. Basically, whenever you are put in like the worst situation, then you get a Pantheon die.
All right.
The other one is called the Ticking Clock, and that's every time something good happens, you basically brace for the other shoe to drop. So at the end of every scene that you do not activate a curse, you gain a Pantheon die, but also lose a free time as your clock ticks closer to your fate.
Ooh. All right. I will take that one.
Okay. It's called Ticking Clock.
We'll take Ticking Clock.
And again, the text is, at the end of any scene where you do not activate a curse, you gain a Pantheon die automatically, but also lose a free time. So essentially, it's telling you, as your character who's the doomed, go ahead and use your curses, like, because it's gonna happen anyway. So, because that's the doomed. All right, cool. Yay! Somebody got one of my new ones. Yay! And I love that one so much. Ray, what are you thinking?
I rolled up the Sage.
The Sage.
So I'm a Mortician Sage.
All right.
So I think that gives me, I'm taking the +2 Worshipper bond.
You take, you can get +2 Worshippers.
And I rolled my random blessing and curses. And I got Outthink the Enemy, which I guess helps me with planning.
Yeah.
And all this knowledge, for what? Right? Which is where, when my character is feeling useless, I generate a Pantheon die. So
yes. I love the idea of like the one who knows everything, their curse is, oh, I don't know shit about this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Outthink the Enemy is actually really cool with like mental attacks. It's basically mental armor.
I apologize. It wasn't. Oh no, it was Outthinking. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Love
That's once per battle, you can make a reflexive discipline roll when taking mental damage, and for each success, you just negate that damage.
Oh wait, no, I apologize. The one I rolled was all planned out. My apologies.
Okay, and that gives you +1 when planning rolls whenever you're going to send bonds out on follow-ups.
Cool.
So, cool. All right. I think that's everybody. So let me see. So right now we have a dreamer athlete. We have a companion fighter. We have a doomed scientist, which is never good. That's not a good combination. That is a terrible combination. And we have a sagely mortician. That reminds me of 6 Feet Under. Like, you know, the people closest to death, they're just wise because they've experienced so much, you know, like that sort of thing. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, cool. So the next step is to figure out what you're the god of. I love it. So I know that Martin already kind of knows what he wants. So let's start with you, Martin. So you're going to be the god of.
I want to be the god of flight. You know,
Which
specifically the act of flying through the air. You know, and,
yes, like the wonder of soaring.
Exactly.
I love it.
And
did you decide which type that was?
I've been going with tangible since that seems to include like actions, like verbs and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Tracking, committing murder, you know, as they have physical manifestations. So this would be a very physical thing. There's iron crossover, but it feels like a little like okay, yeah, I do like the idea of like flight as in like personal elevation and stuff like that too. But I think I can cover that with like not like bonds and things like that. Like what's it called?
I think that's cool. Then I think tangible is. I believe that is the right choice as well. So
yeah, tangible.
Yeah, so you're going to be tangible, which is going to give you +2 relic levels as well, and a level 1 landmark bond. Remember too, everybody's going to end up with a landmark bond in this step, and that landmark bond directly correlates to what you're the god of. So it could be like an like an aerospace center, or it could even just be like, it could be an amusement park and everybody feels like they're flying through the air when they're on the roller coaster. It could be whatever, but it has to correlate to what you're the god of.
I was actually thinking that depending on where we set the game, I was thinking that like a place that has both historical and like environmental ties to flight. So that it would be a place where like early aviators, like Wright brothers era, started, like an overlook kind of thing that people like a meadow that they could like push their early flying machines off and glide down and things like that. But that also happens to have like nests for various birds and bats and flowers that attract butterflies.
I just looked it up and it says that they're from North Carolina, I think. Wait, that's not right. I'm looking at
I think Kitty Hawk is in North Carolina. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be specifically the Wright brothers. It could just like, because a whole bunch of people tried to invent gliders and things like that around the world. But I think just something like, okay, got a meadow, enough flat space that they could kind of run off, get a running start, and then like a drop off that maybe overlooks the town or something like that.
That sounds cool. So all right, cool. Well, that's cool. So write that down. So it's a meadow cliff area. It could just be like the mountains. It could just be like something like that. It could be like a mountainous thing with lots of birds and whatnot. Like I think one of the pre-gens for like in the quick start, I think she's the god of ravens, and like I just gave her straight up an aviary. Like, bam, it just makes sense. All right, cool. I think Damani, you kind of had an idea of what you were going to be, but I threw a bunch of different options out at you though.
You threw a whole bunch. Definitely still leaning on the whole protective aspect.
Okay.
So I am thinking like a patron god of protectors.
Love it.
As again, just like kind of looking out for the little guy, just being like the big man in the neighborhood, just keeping up with everyone.
I love it. Honestly, I'm a big one I always try to push people to take patron. Because for me, like here, like a lot of people are like, oh, I want to be the god of that thing. Like I want to be the god of cameras. Like there are so many tangible gods out there and everybody overlooks the patrons. I'm telling you, man, it's crazy. All right, cool. So out of that, you get those skills. That also gives you +1 Aegis and +1 minion, which is cool. Martin, you got +1 Beckon and +1 puppetry, which is cool. All right. Then okay, so let me go back to Martin real quick. So your tangible blessings here are Call Me Master, which I don't necessarily it's +1, it's +2 bonus whenever you're interacting with your dominion. So I guess whenever you're flying, you would get +2. Then there's Finders Keepers, which is more for trying to find something. So if you're the god of cameras, you'd be like, hey, here's a camera. But for fly, that might not necessarily apply. And then there's basically immunity with something tied directly to your tangible dominion. So it'd be an immunity tied to flight.
I mean, I could see like immunity to falling, but I actually like Call Me Master a little bit more. Okay. Maybe not so much when I'm flying, although that's a possibility, but also like if I'm interacting with birds or cherubs or planes or things like that, I could have some influence over it. So I'm liking Call Me Master a little bit more. All
right. Let's go with Call Me Master then. And then the curses, there's Everything's a Nail and then Utterly Alone. I don't know if Everything's a Nail works for flight specifically. So I'd suggest taking Utterly Alone unless you have a good reason to take Everything's a Nail.
And let's see.
It doesn't translate as directly. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, I think I was interested in Everything's a Nail because it said the god can often perform logical gymnastics to convince themselves. But
you're taking the gymnastics part there.
Yeah, I think I just mentally associated it with that. And
I like it because Everything's a Nail is the curse that is like every solution can be solved with my dominion. That's essentially what the god thinks. And then the curse is basically you get a Pantheon die if they're like, no, this is totally going to work. And then it doesn't. So
I mean, it's kind of a classic thing, like the aerial Storm from the X-Men stuff, the aerial person who's underground and claustrophobic or whatever.
Exactly.
I think Utterly Alone tying in.
I mean, I could see it. I mean, you can take it either way.
Let me get back to you on that. Everyone else go ahead and I'll skim through them.
Okay.
Wow.
Utterly alone in this case, because utterly alone for tangible means like whenever you are not around the thing that you're the god of, then you start feeling like isolated because you're not around the thing. So it could be something like if Martin's character is like underground, then it would be like, oh crap, like there's no way I can fly here. Oh.
Closets are the worst.
What's that?
Closets are the worst.
And closets. Oh my gosh. Exactly.
Closets are the worst.
That was the way that I was picturing it, but we'll see.
I actually kind of like Everything's a Nail especially with the Olympic athlete, because then like there's that like temptation to like, no, I have to play fairly and stuff like that. All my other competitors don't have the ability to fly through the air when they're doing these gymnastic stunts, but wanting to do that, yeah. So right, I think I'll go with Everything's a Nail.
I dig it. All right, so Damani, going back to patrons. All right, so you get +2 worshipers again. You're gonna end up with a bunch of worshipers here.
Good gracious, I got a whole crew.
And then you get a level 1 landmark bond, again, connected to protection of somehow.
Yeah. The landmark bond, I've definitely given some thought to that. I want that to be a homeless shelter.
Love it. Love it. All right, cool. So your 3 choices of blessings are divinely skilled, which is you pick something and you can never fail at it. Examples are a god of archers can never miss a shot, or the god of travelers always knows which direction to go and can't get lost. That sort of thing. You can get loved and worshipped, which is essentially whenever you interact with your bonds, you heal additional strain. So basically, you can abuse them more because they like you more. And
That's one way of looking at it.
I'm just saying that's how it works. And then there's Patron's Blessing, which is essentially you can give someone else within range a +2 bonus to whatever you're the god of. So, you know, if it's you guys and Ray's like, I'm going to protect Crystal's character, you can be like, I'm going to give you a +2 to do that because that's what you're doing and I'm the god of that thing. So there you go. So those are your 3 choices in terms of blessing.
Oh man. You know, oh shoot. You know, I think I'm gonna go Patron's Blessing on that one.
There you go. I love it. And then your curses are Fox in the Hen House or Let's See What You Got. Fox in the Hen House is, let's see, what is that one? Oh, that's essentially your worshipers are the most important thing to you. So you gain 1 Pantheon die if your worshipers are strained from an outside source. And then the Let's See What You Got is you have a reputation of being a protector. So other things are going to come and specifically search you out to see if you can protect this thing. So it you know, it sucks, but also like you kind of ask for it because you're the god of that. So which one of those are you thinking?
You know, considering what I'm thinking about for my theology, I am thinking I'm gonna go with Fox in the Hen House on that one.
Okay, I don't know you're in terms of the theology yet, so we're not there yet. I'm excited to hear it though. I'm excited to hear. Okay, so Crystal or Ray, who wants to go next?
All right.
Cool, Crystal, let's go.
Well, so this is the one that I did have picked out for the idea, and everything else was just kind of in my head. So this is going to go actually incredibly well with everything that I've randomly rolled. No. So because I love to play tortured characters for some reason, I am going to go with I am the god of divination, specifically mathematical divination.
Okay. That's interesting. So divination. So if it's specifically mathematical divination, do we just want to say you're the god of math and then you can just use it to divine things?
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Are you the god of patterns? Right? Is that how you divine?
Like see
or calculation
in here.
This is how we do session zeros. This is great.
Exactly.
Or like calculation, or
if you did divination, I would probably say that is more than likely a crossover. Because I think there's so much you can do with divination. If you did math, that might be. I don't know. I don't know if math is conceptual or possibly tangible. But I think math might just be crossover as well, just because it's math and it just applies to.
I was going to say math is both conceptual and tangible at the same time.
Yeah. Patterns, kind of the same thing. So I would say any of those choices, you're going to end up as a crossover.
With the crossover. Okay.
Regardless.
Oh, I kind of like. I think I like math specifically because there is a bunch of different pathways down there that you can use.
Yeah.
So I think I like that. All right.
Oh,
we're going to switch that to math then.
I know you said you came with like a plan. I didn't mean to throw a wrench in that plan. I'm just.
No, I actually really like that though. I had got myself in a box, and you opened that box up for me. So I am
I'm
totally
good at
down
opening
for that.
boxes. I got a box cutter. All right, so okay, cool. Well, then you obviously get these skills under crossover. You get +1 to any attachment of choice, which is nice because you're crossover. You get +2, a level 2 landmark bond. Your landmark bond is going to be stronger starting. And then you get either adaptable, which is cool because you can sacrifice Pantheon dice to switch out skills on the fly. Learning from others, which is you can pick any other unique blessing from any other type here. Unless all it did was give you like a truth, you can't do that. It's like you pick one of the unique ones. Or you have reactive, which gives you a +2 initiative bonus, which is pretty important. I know +2 initiative sounds so small in comparison with like all these giant powers, but initiative is like super duper important. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know initiative is important, but adaptable seems to be fit more for a math god.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. You should be like, I'm going to replace that with knowledge, please. But it actually had I'm replacing it with knowledge.
How do you
Don't test
respond
me.
to that?
I know I will exactly. Guess what? I'm a cosign that. That's also a math term. See, that's
That's good. That's good.
I thought it was. And then your bad things are prideful or unpredictable. Prideful sounds like a doomed scientist, god of math. I would go with prideful personally. It just falls right into place.
Yeah, unpredictable doesn't really go with math. It really doesn't.
Yeah, you're right, actually. So yeah, well then, yeah, prideful it is then. All right. So did you roll randomly, Ray?
I'm about to. I'm very excited.
So I want to point out again, I told you guys earlier, but I just want everybody who might watch this stream in the future know that I made up for the first book an entire like giant chart of possible random dominions, and then for the companion book I made up a whole separate chart of random dominions, and that was much harder because I had to not reuse ones from the first chart.
All right. So, I have a pretty great one. It certainly wouldn't be one that I picked. My mortician is my domain is emotional, and my emotion is ecstasy.
Nice.
So that is certainly not something I would have thought.
It definitely does not fall in with.
It does not fall on brand.
It's not on brand at all.
I'm pretty excited about.
It's only a little death.
I kind of dig it though.
Yeah. I'm excited to see how the heck this character operates in terms of the story.
Sometimes you can be a plumber who gets God of Fire. You know, sure, it's just how it happens.
Absolutely. I mean,
that was actually one of my favorite
octopuses, but it didn't happen.
That's actually one of my favorite pre-gens from the first edition. Was Mala. She was the doctor who was the God of Fire. And I remember I used to run sessions and people would be like, oh, well, I'd like throw a giant fireball. And I'm like, you have the Hippocratic Oath. I'm sorry. You're a doctor. Your first instinct would not be to burn somebody to the ground. And the character's always just like, well, then why am I the God of Fire? And I'm like, exactly.
Figure it out.
Because it doesn't always work out for you. That's why. All right. So under emotional.
Yeah.
Let's see. So you get these skills. You get +1 puppetry, which is nice. You +1 visual bond, and you get a level 2 landmark bond. I'm going through these quickly because I assume you have the book open to it.
Yes, I will find the book. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's page 63.
Thank you.
Page 63. And then your blessings are Fuel My Fire, which is great. I love this one. Gain +1 bonus to any roll made in the heat of your chosen emotion. So if you're like in ecstasy, you get +1 bonuses. It's awesome. So it might just be a repeat of the last game, and you just might have to take some drugs. So it's an easy way. Do you have some ecstasy?
Oh yeah, no. I think I'm going to take the blessing siphon, because I like the idea of the fact that this character, right, at least initially, is not super psyched about being the god of ecstasy, or certainly they don't understand it. So I imagine them going to like high-end nightclubs and parties and all these places, and it's like, who's that? Who are they? And they're like,
yeah, and Siphon specifically is you are draining people of their ecstasy. You're just like, whenever that guy's around, no one's happy.
Yeah, I like that better. That's pretty good.
Which that honestly does kind of make it then on brand a little bit, because you're a mortician and people are like, ooh, that guy. I'm not as happy as I was before now. I don't know. Just him being around, it's icky.
Soothing origin too.
And then your curse, you have the choice of either apathetic or overcome with emotion. Apathetic is that you just become devoid of whatever the emotion is that you have control over, which means you lose the ability to experience ecstasy. Or overcome with emotion is someone else in the scene is overcome with ecstasy and it causes issues. Not you. Just your presence just drives ecstasy into somebody, and then it just like they just flip out.
I guess my question would be for people at the table: do people want random NPCs to be overcome with ecstasy at like a shopping mart? Well, that's.
I was wondering how it would affect satyrs, actually.
They'd be like, "Oh yeah, this was I was already doing this.
This is my life." Let me think about that one a little bit. I'll take a look.
Okay. That's fair. All right, cool. Well then, if everybody's done with that step, we have the last step, which is, well, that's not the last step, but the last large choice is theology. Now, the original book had 9 amazing theologies, and then a companion, I added 9 more amazing theologies. So just to give a quick rundown of what the 9 theologies are for those who might not have already made their decisions. They have the Ascendants, who are all about kind of becoming like the old gods. They want to become powerful gods. You have the Warlock's Fate, which is all about kind of unlocking the mysteries of the universe. That's what they're all about. There are the Masks of Jana. They're all about hiding divine things from mortals and keeping divine things secret. That's their whole thing, being secret. Then there's the Cult of the Saints. They're actually all about the belief that gods are not gods. They're actually just saints, and there's something bigger than you. And they're pretty cool because you can ask that thing that's bigger than you for advice. It's awesome. Then there is the Phoenix Society, which is all about humanity and being part of humanity and shepherding humanity to greatness. They're fun. I like them. The Order of Mescanet is essentially an order of gods that harkens back to they were like the first trilogy. They're actually all about kind of holding a lot of like mortal power. So you get a lot of extra wealth. You get extra worshipers. They're all about passing it down. So you get worshipers and relics and wealth. That's what you get if you're a member of the Order of Mescanet. Then there's the Drifting Kingdoms, and they're actually the opposite. They're all about kind of just wandering around, or they're a theology of wanderers. They like building up and then smashing it down and moving to the next place. Building up, smashing down. That's what they do. Then there's the Kunetsu Kami. They're all about knowing your place in the hierarchy of spirits, and they're really cool. So you know that they're like you're like a medium spirit, and then there's lesser spirits and there's bigger spirits, but you're comfortably in the middle. They're fun. Puck Eaters, they're the ones who hunt down outsiders and eat them for power. So that's great. And then, so those are the 9 from the core book. Then I added 9 more because I'm a bastard. So the new Imperium, the new Imperium is all about establishing empires. And essentially, if you're a member of the new Imperium, you get like a bunch of stuff, kind of like the Order of Mescanet, except that you get extra worshipers and extra temples and stuff like that, because your job is to build the empire wherever you live. So they're fun. I like them. The Crofters of Destiny are the opposite. They're the ones that say, no, like if you're old and you're like a stagnant god, then you're the worst thing ever, and it's all about youth and creativity and like rebellion. And I like them. They're kind of nice. Then there's the prayer tenders. They're like all about worshipers. They're all like, worshipers are my thing, and I love them, and they're the best thing ever. And you get oh my gosh, what you get out of being a prayer tender. If it has to do with worshipers, you are the best at it ever. That's why I like them. But the downside of them, and I wrote them, they're actually one of my favorites. The downside of being a prayer tender is that occasionally your worshipers will just summon you to them, because and you just blink out of existence there, and you come to them because they have a ritual that can just summon you, and you'll be like, what? I was in the middle of it. Oh man. I find that fun. Anyway, Gaia's Wardens, which are essentially, remember how everybody was mad that like Werewolf the Apocalypse is all about like eco-terrorists? Yeah, that's Gaia's Wardens. They're also eco-terrorists a little bit. Finric Shackles is all about enslaving outsiders. So instead of being their friends and stuff, no, it's actually all about, like, you work for me now. They can be cool. That obviously does add a certain tone to the game, because if one of you is a slaver, that means the rest of you are, I guess, kind of okay, or at least tolerant of slavers. But they do exist as a theology. Nanook's Outsiders. Nanook's Outsiders they're the ones who say we are brothers to outsiders and we are equals, and they're really cool. Like, they're all about protecting the outsider. So we should probably not have a Fenric Shackle and an Outlander in there. That won't work. Hearthfire Society is all about kind of building communities, not empires, but communities. And they're really fun because they kind of like, well, their cool thing is that none of their locations are randomly generated. They're like, no, I built my community. My thing goes here, my thing goes there, my thing goes here, and they get to choose where all their stuff goes because that's important, like where your stuff is. And then, is that all of them? No, there's two. There's two more. The Reliquarians are all about relics, and the cool thing about them is that they are one of the few things. Dwarves are the other thing in this world. Oh, actually. And Cyclopses. So Cyclopses, dwarves, and Reliquarians can build new relics in this universe. Otherwise, you can't make new relics yourself. They either happen spontaneously or you got something that is old. So, but new things, they're one of the three that can do it. The other one is, I have no clue how to pronounce this. Quotacules. I think I said that right. Quotacule's stepchildren, and they're actually all about bridging the gap between outsiders and gods, and trying to bring them together. So that might sound like it's similar to Nanook's Outlanders, but Nanook's Outlanders are like, no, I'm with them. Like, no, sure, I guess maybe we might be able to bridge it, but literally, I will choose an outsider before I will choose another god. Like, no, so I'm not. Yeah. So there you go. That's kind of a quick rundown of the now 18.
Isn't there the Dragon Slayer types, the Brotherhood of the Stump?
So that is correct. That is a 20th, I guess. 19th theology that is available in the Mythic Echoes Volume 1. I guess if somebody wants to do a dragon one, I wasn't planning on having dragons in the game. Let me get up real quick, and I will. It's definitely an option. I'm definitely not going to say no.
I again, it's been a while since I've skimmed through that.
No. We're 100% correct. So no need to apologize.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it had to do specifically with dragons or just like any outsider threat.
So let's see. The Order of Strut. Let's see. So the cool thing about Order of Strut is they become immune to the afraid condition, because they are now immune to fear because they fight dragons, y'all. So like they ain't scared of nothing. They can also extend that resistance to fear to other people, which is great. And they get bonus levels in relics. So cool. So immune to fear, they can extend that immunity to fear. And also they get bonus levels in relics. So that's their blessing. And then their bad thing is that they always have to be hunting a dragon. That's their thing. And it could be like, oh, well, you have to go do this. And you'd be like, No, I'm sorry. No, I'm hunting a dragon. I can't do that right now. I'm hunting a dragon, y'all. Don't you understand? So that is an option if anybody wants to do it. That they actually are a fun one. It just wasn't a new one. It was a secondarily new one because it was in the second book. It was just not in the third book. So the third book is going to be the new stuff, and then like the sub new. Ooh, sub new. That's a good word for it. I don't know if that's really a thing. Anyway, let's start with you, Martin. What theology are you going to be choosing, sir?
So all of that aside, yeah, I looked at all the new stuff. I was like, oh, can I work it with this? Can I do with that? But the drifting kingdoms are really hard to argue with for
drifting
for
kingdoms.
both my occupation as an Olympic athlete, like traveling around the world and doing stuff like that, as well as the dominion of flight, the wandering, not really staying in one place, always being like, okay, can we go someplace else now? It's kind of boring here. I've got other stuff to do.
No, I love it. I love it. And obviously it gives you some skills. It also gives you some manifestations. You'll notice that in terms of manifestations from the type of God that you are, I think you got 2. But from your theology, because your theology teaches you how to use your powers, you end up getting 4 from them. So yours is going to give you Aegis, Journey, and Shaping, but 2 in Journey, 1 Aegis, 1 Shaping, Martin, for this one.
That 2 in Journey is hard to argue with.
Yeah, hey, I mean, definitely for the Journey. And then +3 free time, but no wealth. It gives you no bonus wealth. And also your theology rounds out your wealth and free time. So that's fun. But no additional wealth for you. So I don't know how much wealth you have now. I think athletes actually have quite a bit of wealth.
Yeah, it was like 2 free time because of all the time spent training and stuff, but 4 wealth. So that's not bad.
Oh no, that's pretty good actually. That's 5-4. That's median. Like a lot of characters are either 5-4 or 4-5, somewhere around there. No, that's really good. I like that. And then your blessing is instant domain, and it's that basically wherever you are, you can say, this is now part of our domain for this scene. So great stuff. I actually love that ability.
And I like the secondary part too. Yeah.
Yes, I was going to say, and the secondary thing is that on the territory grid, you can move diagonally. No one else can move diagonally. Only the drifting kingdoms move diagonally. Although there's what is it? I think it's there's one of the new theologies, and I don't remember which one it is now, but there's one of it that like if you're moving through part of your territory, it doesn't cost you as much because you're just that good at moving through your territory. I think that's the Hearthfire Society, if I'm recalling correctly. All right, cool. So you are a drifting kingdom. You're a drifter. All right, cool. And then your bad thing, of course, is wanderlust, and that is if you start a scene in the same location that you ended the previous scene, you take damage to psyche and a level 1 confused condition. So if you stay in the same spot for too long, you start to kind of get stir crazy and lose your shit. So,
so bored. Can we go now?
My mom, when I was growing up, my mom always used to say that she had gypsy feet. And it's the thing that she used to say, I have gypsy feet. Like I love moving around. I love going and experiencing different things. Like she hated staying in one spot for too long. Which is of course why I have now lived in Florida for the last 25 years. And I'm like, I moved around my entire childhood and I'm done with that. I don't want to do it anymore. Anyway, there you go. That is the drifting kingdoms. Damani, you said you already knew what you were taking. What are we talking about here?
Okay, I thought I had an idea early on, but then started looking at the new stuff. I'm definitely going Nanook's Outlanders for this guy.
All right. So you're going to be an Outlander, which is great because then that means that we're going to have a lot of outsiders in this game. Because as soon as you have an Outlander, that's what they're all about. So there's going to be a lot of them in this game now. All right, cool.
Sorry.
Hey, if hopefully nobody picks Fenric Shackles. That's all I can say.
Make it a flying Outlander.
So, all right. So your skills are going to be discipline, empathy, fortitude, might, and survival. All the ones that make you feel like a bear. Your manifestations are 1 to beckon, 1 to minion, and 2 to shaping. The +2 to shaping is so that you can turn into a bear.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I keep mentioning the bear. So Nanook, it's the theology is called Nanook's Outlanders, and that means then Nanook himself was the god of bears. He was the one who started the thing. So the whole theology symbol and everything is a bear print, and because it's very bear. And you get +3 free time and +0 wealth, sir.
I can work with that.
Because you ain't getting paid for this. You ain't. You're not getting paid.
No.
So your blessing is called Brother in Arms, and let's see. For one, so basically, you can extend your aura to kind of connect with outsiders. So for 1 fragment, you can gain access to an outsider's payoff effect. So similar to a puck eater, but you don't have to eat them. You're just connecting your aura to them. Unlike a puck eater, you can only have 1 of them done at one time. Puck eaters can like, oh, I'm gonna take a bite of this and a bite of that and a bite of that and just have everything going. You can only do 1. Sorry.
It's like, can I borrow this for a second? Yeah.
And you can't do it to people or other gods, just outsiders. Because a puck eater can eat people and gods and also get stuff from them. So anyway, your other thing though is that because you're so connected with outsiders, that if you spend a fragment, you can just avoid attacks from outsiders. So if you spend a fragment, they can't hit you. So
this will come in handy.
If we want to read exactly what it says, if attacked by an outsider, you can spend 1 fragment and you shift out of the way, avoiding the attack without the need of a check. In the process, you also project an aura of peace on them for cumulative -2 penalty. So essentially, you have a bunch of fragments, they'll just keep swinging and they'll keep missing and they'll keep getting worse and worse every time as well. So
it's like, we need to talk about this. Look, slow it down.
Down here, seriously. Your bad thing, of course, is called Monster Magnet. You get -2 stealth against outsiders, so you cannot hide from them. They'll be like, I know you're around here. Also, instead of the 5 points during the attachments phase, you instead get a level 3 outsider community group bond. So write that down. But you can only use shared lessons and lead follow-up. You cannot use resources with this one. Wealth cannot be spent to avoid interacting with them, because sometimes if you're like, oh, they need my help, you'd be like, I'm gonna give them some money, but they are like, no money here. And let's see, so each strain caused to this special group will actually cost you a free time. So if you strain them, you lose free time. So just so you know, so it's as other outlanders and outsiders began harassing you to go ahead and do the thing, follow up with the thing.
Just get it over with.
Just do it. So if it ever drops a level, you permanently start losing free time. Just so you know, you will lose permanent free time if it falls. If ever reduced to 0, let me see. If reduced to 0, maximum. If you are reduced to 0 maximum free time, which I don't know how much free time you have. You have a lot, right?
Right now, I'm sitting at about 6.
Okay. If you are ever reduced to 0 free time, you have to pick another attachment to basically, so essentially you like don't have enough time for them, but instead of just losing all of your time, you have to start losing your connection with other attachments that you have. So it sucks, but what this means is now you have 3 points to spend in the attachment phase, which is after this, not 5. Cool. And the reason for that is because even though it sounds like it's a big burden, you also can use them for shared lessons and lead follow-up. So it is also, it's kind of a good with the bad thing. So yeah, there you go. All right, cool. Crystal, what do you got?
There you go.
Oh, we can.
All right.
There you go.
So I have chosen Warlock's Fate.
Okay. So you decided to go ahead and just choose that and not roll randomly?
Yeah, I decided to not roll randomly because I came across the whole blessing and curse thing, and it just seemed to fit what's forming in my head.
It depends on how hard. You did say earlier you were going to ride this concept hard.
I am going to ride this
would be the way to do that.
Yes.
I wasn't going to push you in that direction, but yes, Warlock's Fate is like every scientist should be Warlock's Fate essentially. So that's on page 100. So you have your skills. The manifestations you get are Beckon, Journey, and Puppetry. You get +1 free time, +2 wealth. And obviously the blessing with them, which is pretty cool, is you spend 1 fragment and you can see the connection of things in the universe. So for example, in the write-up, looking at a couple, a guy can tell whether they're married, having an affair, on a first date, just friends holding hands, or etc. Likewise, if watching a car drive by, they can instantly know if the driver owns that car, where they're headed, perhaps where it came from. So it's actually a really cool thing, but it does cost fragments, which is a big deal. If something costs fragments, it's a big thing. So let's see. You can do that. You can view 1 connection for free, but may also sacrifice Pantheon dice for additional connection stuff after that. So, and what that means is that, say, for instance, you were like, you were going to look at the couple and you could be like, are they married? And then I'd be like, no, they're not. And then you'd be like, I'm going to sacrifice a Pantheon die. Are they having an affair? And I'd say, no, they're not. And you say, like, oh, there's another Pantheon die. Where are they going? You know, so basically like that sort of thing. So you get the first one after you spend the fragment, and then any additional ones are Pantheon dice. You get +2 psyche. Yay!
Nice.
Your bad thing, of course, is that you are a manipulator, because of course you are. And let's see. So whenever you ask an attachment for assistance, you have to roll a d10, and if the result is a 1 or 2, you cause an additional strain for asking them to do that. Instead of just the 1, you would do an additional 1. And let me see. And when devoting a scene to a bond in hopes of healing that, you also roll a die, and on a result of a 1 or a 2, you were just like, you spent time with them, but you were just like, I'm here to spend time with you. Is this working? And they're like, no, this isn't working. And then they don't heal. So basically, you abuse the people that are close to you more, and it's harder for you to heal them. So, yay. All right, Ray.
Well, to be fair, she is the goddess of math.
She's like, this didn't work to my calculations at all. I calculated that if I give you this rose, then you would give me a kiss on the cheek. And that is not happening. You seem displeased. Well, yeah, because you're a jerk. Oh, I did not have that as a quantifier in my equation.
Damn it, now I'm solving for my ex.
I'm going to pull up like a whole page of like math terms, and that's all I'm going to do the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
All right, Ray, what are you thinking?
So the first one I randomly rolled was Nanook's Outlanders.
Oh, okay.
We have someone doing that. And that's fine, because I like the variety. The second one I rolled was Warlock's Fate. I was like, no, we have someone doing that.
We already have that too now.
There's 18 of them, but math can stop occasionally. So the third one that I rolled was, what's it called? Crofters of Destiny.
Ooh.
So I think the neatest thing about that, to me, right, the big draw is the idea of the triad. Right? And I think that there's some neat kind of story stuff there for that character. And
you want to go with that?
Yeah, I think that's kind of neat.
All right, let me get to that then, so we can explain to everybody what that is, because it's a thing. That's pretty cool, though. I wasn't sure if you were going to roll randomly and get one of the new ones. I mean, I guess there was a 50-50 shot. All right, so stereotypes assured, arrogant, and rebellious. Of course they are. Your skills, athletics, discipline, intuition, perform, tech. Your manifestations, journey, puppetry, and ruin. +2 free time and +1 wealth, that's pretty standard. So let me see. So your blessing is fateful existence. Standing as a paragon of godhood means that you have a way of drawing others to you. So during character creation, you begin with +2 levels to either spend on divine allies or vassals, which is cool. Secondly, in times of need and you want to draw on luck, you can do that. So your blessing affects, their blessing affects the odds for a single check, counting any die that is 5 or higher as a success instead of 7. That's cool. Alternatively, the god can remove the possibility of a critical failure, making all ones successes. So essentially, you spend 1 fragment, and then you get to choose how you want to affect that roll.
Cool.
You can either be like, all my 5s, they're successes, or you can be like, ooh, that was so many 1s. I'm going to say all 1s are successes right now. Yeah, and you can do that. Let me see. So you spend 1 fragment to do it for the first time in a scene, and it costs you 2 Pantheon dice for any additional uses in the same scene.
Cool.
All right. So you are a crofter. Very cool. So your curse, though, is the fear of power, because it's antithetical. The whole thing is about being young and free and rebellious and not accumulating power and becoming an old stagnant thing. Which is also weird, again, for morticians. It's a weird combination. I love it, though. So let's see. Where am I at? So this fear manifests itself in a reluctance to involve the mortals closest to them in their lives. You suffer a penalty equal to your spark -1 for all planning rolls with your bonds. So right now, everybody is at spark 1, so you don't suffer that penalty. But the more powerful you become, the more unlikely you are to ask them to do things for you.
Gotcha.
It's essentially what it's saying. So let me see. So, but if you have used faithful existence this session, that is raised by an additional 1. So there you go. So right now, baseline, you won't have that. But if you use your blessing, then you have it.
Cool.
Let me see. So also when getting along with other gods of the same spark, you're comfortable, but you suffer a -1 penalty to influence and empathy checks for each level higher that another god is to you. So,
cool.
So if you're like dealing with like a spark 3 god, you're suffering a -2 penalty to influence them because you're like, no, I'm not going to be able to tell them what to do. That's weird. I'm not going to tell them. So those are your penalties there. That's your curse.
Cool.
The fear of power. And yeah, that's pretty cool. God, that ability to like affect dice, that's huge.
Yeah,
oh my gosh. That's the thing right there. Oh my gosh. I'm also noticing that all of you have powers that use fragments and also suck the Pantheon pool. So all of you, it's gonna be a contest. It's gonna be like, can I take some of the dice? And people are gonna be like, no, I need them for my power. So this is gonna be fun. I like it. All right, so that is occupations, archetypes, and then your dominions, and then your theology. So we have an athlete, dreamer, god of flight, drifter. We have a fighter, companion, god of protection, outlander. We have a scientist, doomed, god of math, warlock. And we have a mortician, sage, god of ecstasy, crofter. I love it. This is going to be fun. All right, so the next step is going to be the attachments phase. And this is where we are going to start quantifying the attachments that we have accumulated already, start defining them more, and also you get 5 additional points to spend on attachments. Except for you, Damani, you only get 3.
Are attachments bonds?
Say that again?
Are attachments bonds, or are they
Yes.
something else?
So attachments, there's 2 types of attachments. There are bonds, which are mortal, and then there are entitlements, which are divine.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So under attachments, there are individual bonds, group bonds, landmark bonds. And then under entitlements, there are relics, truths, vassals, and worshipers. Also, there are divine allies, which is a new one that actually Damani wrote it up and I edited it, so it's there. It's a thing. So Divine Allies is also a thing. Let me see what else is there as well. We have some new things, lots of new things. There are also different, there's new worshiper types. If anybody is going worshiper, there's a lot of new worshiper things. And let's see, where am I here? I wish this was smaller. Here we go. So, you can also spend points in theology status, theology rank. So if you want to actually have standing in the theology that you are a member of, that is also a thing. That's all. It was something that like was ill-defined in the core book. So that's why you get it in a companion. It's great. So, you're like, oh, well, I'm a crofter. It's just like, but are you like new, or are you been there around for a while? Do you have people who like report to you and stuff? So you can also spend that in theology rank. So let me see, theology rank, divine ally. There's a bunch of new relics in here, which are, some of them are really good. And then new types of worshipers. So, or you can them on individual bonds, group bonds, landmark bonds, truths. Everybody gets a free truth. So think about what you want as your free truth, obviously. And then obviously you can spend more on those things if you want. Let me see. And yes, and it's 1 point for level of any of the bonds except for level 5, which it counts 2. It costs 2. The only thing that doesn't apply to is relics, which is 5 points, and you just get 5 points. Truths are 2 points flat cost.
And how many points do we have, or is that dependent on what we are?
You get 5 points at this stage, but the first thing to do is, I would say, use up any points that you already accumulated from your four choices that we've done, and then spend the 5. So you'll notice that some of these, you're like, it gives you +2 landmark points, or a +2 individual, +2 this, +2 that. So you want to spend those first and get those nice and concrete, and then spend your additional 5.
And if we have like +2 landmark points and then a level 2 landmark from another source, can we group those together, or can they be separate?
You can. So the level 2 landmark is just a level 2 landmark.
Gotcha.
Plus 2 landmark levels means you could be like, well, I have another level 2, or I have 2 other level 1s, or you can throw those onto the one existing, but it has to be a landmark.
Okay. Neat. So Damani, question for you. Your character is a bouncer, yes? So I'm considering making my level 2 landmark like the club that your character bounces at.
Funny you should say that. I was actually looking at that myself. So, But I do dig the idea.
So
is there anything special we'd have to do, Aloy, to have like 2 of us aiming at the same landmark, or should we not do that?
Essentially, I probably would make it so that it would just be 2 different clubs.
Okay.
That Damani just so happens to work at both.
It's funny. I have a couple of good friends that were bouncers years ago, and they did bounce around. Like,
oh yeah,
hey, bounce.
I have some friends that have been bouncers as well. It's so crazy. My friend Ray, a different Ray, not this Ray, but a different friend Ray, he comes up to here on me, but he will beat the heck out of you. Like he was like, and he was a bouncer. And I was like, how do you even? He's just like, dude, don't even test me. I'm like, okay, man, I'm good, man. I'm good. I trust you. I trust that you're good at your job.
He sold it. You're like, I believe you.
I believe you. It's
just
fine.
People, they're like, oh, there must be a reason this guy's stuck with me like this.
Exactly.
It's funny. Like my bouncer friend was actually part of my gaming group. So it's like, you got this, he's like an IT nerd, but just happened to be really, really big. And in between jobs, he just happened to throw folks out of clubs by their face. So
before they hired him, he was just doing it for fun. It was the hobby.
And then he's like, wait, I think
you're going to pay me money to do this? Yes.
People, unless they hire me. I don't have problems.
Best day ever.
And again, everybody gets a free truth. So if you have ideas for a truth, let me know. Because obviously you can just choose from the list, But if you also wanted to maybe come up with a unique one or something that you kind of were thinking, would be cool, let me know. And we can. So basically, whatever I do is I always think of the truth itself. And then we figure out if there's already an existing rule for it or if we need to make one up. So if you're like, let's say like I am the god of, what are you the god of? Like, let's say like I am the god of ecstasy, right? And let's say like you just want to say like, oh, I want to be able to touch somebody and have them orgasm. And I'd be like, okay, there's no rules for that, but we can make that up.
I thought there'd be like a whole like source book. Like
a whole just for one thing there. Yes.
Super weird. People are like, what's this game about? You're like, really love orgasm touch. Really.
So there is that, right?
That's all you need to know about it.
If you ever want to question about it, it's here. No, so Aloy, I actually I looked up the definition of ecstasy on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what my character's version of ecstasy is, given the fact that they're a mortician, it's a lust for life. So the idea is that it's not sexual ecstasy necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
It is much more like, right, they inspire people to live their best, most fulfilling, right? Like they inspire people to be like, I'm going to France. I'm taking that vacation, right? Like that's kind of the thing that they get people to do. But potentially,
what definition are you looking at? Because I'm looking at, I just brought it up too, and one is an overwhelming feeling of great happiness or joyful excitement.
That's the one I found. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
Because there was also lust, and I was like, those are two different things, and I like the idea of like people coming to the mortician, and like they're at the precipice of their own death, and they're like, you know what, I do have to go on that diet. I do all this kind of stuff. I did want to go.
Yeah.
Mom would have wanted me to go after this.
Yeah, sure. Right? There's that. I think there's something there.
Though, I mean, would we just want to? We can keep it emotional, but we can. Do we just want to redefine what you're the god of, and just like keep it emotional, but move it to something else? Like you're the god of like. Let's see, like thrills, or you're the god of.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I mean, there's a word. I'm certain that there's a word that exists.
I feel like ecstasy for me has like a definite definition, and then you're around, like you're skirting around it. So I feel like there's probably a different word there for what you're specifically talking about, like something like inspiration.
I'm the god of the bucket list.
Yes, you're the god of bucket lists. I love it.
That's pretty straight on brand, right? What are you? I'm the god of bucket lists. How'd that happen? Look where I work. Why wouldn't I be the god of bucket lists?
I mean, there definitely would be, and I love it. I'm down for you doing that if you want to make that change.
I think in my head, right? Okay, so this is a weird story. When I went to hire my caterer for my wedding with my wife, we went and met this caterer, and the guy spent like 10 minutes describing the whole menu, and he's like, and there's this tropical chicken with a remoulade glaze and blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And he sold it all big. And then later we're like, oh, what should we have for the kids? And my wife's like, oh, there's the chicken. And the guy without misspeak goes, it's basically a chicken nugget. And that's why we hired him, because like he sold it like hard. And then he's like, but it's basically a chicken nugget. We're like, you're our guy. So I like the idea for this character that when they found out they were the god of this thing, the person who told them was like this big, long, like joie de vivre and all this kind of stuff. And then my character wasn't tracking. They're like, it's like a bucket list. And she's like, oh. Like, I like the idea, right? There's like this, like it's so, right, in her heart,
I love it.
Much bigger than that. But in reality, like, it's a bucket list.
I dig it. It'll be interesting to see how we utilize it in game, but I like it as a concept.
Well, I mean, I have 3 levels of puppetry. I mean, I certainly can put stuff on people's bucket lists, like go make me a sandwich, I guess. I don't know how puppetry works, but like, there'll be something there, I'm sure.
That would be
my life would not be complete until I make this man a sandwich.
You know what, though? Oh my gosh, no. That would be soul for you to do that. And you would use the effect under soul called redefine. So essentially, you would look at somebody and you'd say, "I'm going to define a new bucket list item for them."
Oh, I don't have soul though.
What's that?
I don't have soul.
Oh well, but you're gonna get points that you can put into soul.
Cool.
So,
Good.
Yeah, you can always you get customization points. It's all good.
Love it. So we'll figure out the word, but I like the idea.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well then, well that was fun. I liked that. That was great.
Also, Ray, if you did want to take the club as the bond, I could actually do mine for like the other bouncers, being like part of the community there.
Yeah.
I think now that I've kind of led to bucket list, is the game set? Are we gonna set the game in modern times?
Yeah, modern times, probably North Carolina, because
that's great. So, my character is, I think, my level 2 bond is going to be a travel agency.
Okay,
that's where people go for bucket lists.
I dig it.
Like her childhood friend, right? They both have like local family businesses, and her business was a mortician, and her best friend's family business was like a travel agency.
Nice,
so,
nice.
Yeah, there's a whole.
I have a feeling like your character doesn't like being a mortician though. Like it's like a family business.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay. So I was just from everything you're saying and the combination of things here, that's kind of what I was getting from it.
Yeah, I'm modeling the character after a woman that I know who is a mortician who did not like being a mortician. She was rad, but she's like, this is what I do.
Yeah. So I'm down with it. All right, cool. So I guess did everybody define their existing points and stuff already?
I'm still kind of sifting through stuff at the moment.
We're getting there.
Yeah. I guess. Oh, sorry.
So when we're talking bonds, you also want to kind of create like you want to create some sort of like relationship type, just to kind of like flavor it. It doesn't really it doesn't have any mechanical effect. It's more just so that I understand as the GM how it affects you to call on this bond. So examples might be approval seeking, devious, fun, hostile, needy, things like that. Could be romantic, could be rival. So for instance, like Ray was like, oh, I'm going to take, another mountain climber, I'm going to take a mountain climber and he's my rival, and then it'll be like, okay, cool. So now I know that whenever that bond might come, you might get a call and they might be like, all right, this is the challenge. I'm challenging you to this thing, but if you had said, oh, it's a mountain climber and, our relationship is, romantic, it would be like, I'm calling you to invite you to a picnic, at our favorite spot at the crest of the thing or whatever. So it basically tells me, what kind of relationship you have with the bond. So those are easy ones. For landmarks, you can do home, safe house, social, store, work, things like that. If you have specific landmark descriptors, so that I also know how they would interact with you. So yeah, there you go. There's that stuff.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
What are divine allies or vassals?
So divine allies, vassals thing. It's basically you get an outsider who's your friend. Like you're like, hey, that's Tater and me. Like he's my boy. It's great. Divine allies means you have another god who is a friend, an ally.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Which is basically something that just wasn't defined in the core book, because I just in the writing of the book I'm like, well, no, the other gods you have as your friends, they're the other players. But it has come up enough that I'm like, okay, yeah, we probably need to have like a thing. And divine allies are pretty cool, but obviously they don't necessarily always, they're not always like helpful or and at any point they can, no, I'm here, I'm part of your pantheon. Bye. Like
cool.
So they're and I can give you like the rules and stuff for that if you end up taking it. But the idea of the crofters getting like extra levels in divine allies is basically because you're all like youngs and band together, that sort of thing. So you would obviously get some levels in divine allies, or vassals. You either, because you're always looking for somebody to like rebel with. But it's also available to anybody. Like Divine Allies it's a new thing, but anybody can pick it. And if anybody has any worshipers, I can go through all the worshiper types as well.
I have them. Well, I'm looking at it now. So.
And I'll do that right now because I can. So there's confidants, and they're the ones that if you visit them, you can heal faster, which is great. There's the faithful, who can get you fragments. That's really important, I would say, for this group who has all of their abilities that use fragments. There's givers. So if anybody's poor, you can get some worshipers that are givers and you can get money from them. Then there's preachers. They make it less expensive for you to get other worshipers. So yay. Then there's temple keepers, and they can give you bonus dice to manifestation checks. And then there's zealots, who you can send to do dirty things. Do dirty, nasty things in your name. Like, I need that guy taken out. And they'll be like, oh, we'll do it.
Oh, we'll do it.
Oh, we will burn down their house for you.
Whoa.
Oh, no, don't pick zealots if you don't want zealots.
Speaking from experience, they have no middle ground.
I have done this to Damani already. I had zealots, and I had the zealots do exactly what he said to do.
There's not an ounce of subtlety about them.
New worshiper types are beggars. They are ones that essentially, you care for the downtrodden and stuff, and it kind of makes you tougher, which is good because you're constantly running around working for them because they need so from you. Then there's blasphemers, which is great because they essentially can help you redefine your godhood, and it allows you to change a truth on the fly. So that's a fun one. There are cultists, and they're ones that you can, they're essentially like zealots, but they don't just do anything. They like specifically will do divine rituals and back you up. If like, they're the kind that like, if you're like, oh, I'm about to go have a fight, they'll be like, oh, well, we'll come fight with you. We're cultists. Let's do it. Like, zealots are like, tell us where to go burn down the thing. But really, I'm a regular dude here though. Cultists are like, where's the thing? Let's do it. Then there's divine eyes, which are their thing is they're like the neighborhood watch. They're like that old lady on the corner who knows everybody's name and knows who everybody's with and like knows that. That's them, divine eyes. Their special thing is basically on the map, you mark off where your divine eyes are and how far their reach is. And if anything happens there, you know about it. So bam, that's just how it is. And then if it's outside of that, they can make a roll and they can find it out and stuff like that. But literally, it's like, if it's happening in my domain, I got it. I know it. Then there's mentor, and that allows you to kind of tap into, it essentially allows you to re-roll failed checks because you have a worshiper who like knows a lot about something. And then you're like, they've been training me to be better at that thing. So bam, you get, so there's mentors as well. And it's actually pretty cool. So when you pick a mentor, you pick a skill, and anytime you would fail that roll, you can re-roll it by straining that relationship with the mentor, essentially. You're like, oh, I remember what they taught me, so I'm going to re-roll that now. But the cool thing is that you only have to re-roll the failed dice. You don't have to re-roll all of them. So if you like rolled it and you're like, man, it was like 2 10s and all the rest were nothing, let's just re-roll all the other dice. Yes. Anyway, it's a cool one. I like Mentor. It came out really good.
I think I want a pretty impressive relic, but I'm tossing ideas. I'm trying to like, okay, do I really want to just put 5 points into relic and then define it later on and as we discuss this, or do I want to? Because I also really love truths a lot, and like, oh, that truth would be fun, and that one too.
Didn't you like get like 4 relic points for free or something?
Yeah. So it's.
I assume that you were going with the relic because like usually it's like, oh, I can get a +2 group bond or 2 extra levels for relic. Most people go for the relic, even though group bonds, the bonds have their uses, but a lot of people will be like, no, I want to be able to like shoot fireballs and stuff. That's better. So you just have, we have 4 points already. So you're saying like, do you want to spend one of your other points to make it a level 5?
Yeah, because I was looking at some of the new, the new relic options that were included in the upcoming books, and it's like, oh, okay, like elemental protection plus elemental attack, that would be neat. But
I'm a big fan of the voodoo doll myself. That one was a fun one to write. You can do so many nasty things with the voodoo doll, and some good things. You can do some good things too.
Oh, Lloyd, did you say that there was a list of individual bond types? Like there should be like a descriptive word you're saying that we attach?
Yeah, that would be on page. Let me find it. The bonds. It's page 105. Just like it's just descriptors.
Yeah.
In the new book, though, we did add additional types for individual, group, and landmark. So if you did want to know about that, because we wrote it, so might as well. So let me find that here. Let me see. So we have unique bonds for individuals. We have personal assistant and soulmate. So if any of you were thinking about having a personal assistant or soulmate, we have new rules for those. For groups, we have neighborhood association and social club. So we have those. And then for landmarks, we have job site and bolt hole. So if any of your places seem like they were going to be that, then if you wanted to use the additional rules, you could.
Gotcha.
And essentially, it's just like when you would do like worshipers or things like that. It's like they do the normal thing and then they take something away, but then they add something else.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think
because worshipers are just a unique group bond.
Gotcha.
In the end, so
I think my character, her level 1 bond is her husband, who is her rival.
Ooh.
So he also works at the funeral home, and knows that my character's desires, like that she's doing it because she's supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Right? And so we are very much in love, but he's very disappointed in kind of like my character's commitment.
Yes.
To this thing. He's like, this is what we do. And she's like, but we can do so much more. And he's like, oh, you'll never understand. Right? There's a lot of that like fighting and making up stuff, but
okay.
Cool.
I love it.
Okay, I think I've settled on stuff. I'm going to stick with the free 4 dots of relics that I get automatically.
Are you create your own or pick a pre-made one?
I'm leaning towards making my own or adjusting a pre-made one.
Okay.
Like adding some additional stuff to it. But I'm leaving that nebulous for the moment.
Okay.
And going with, so I get for my free truth. I'll do the points first.
Yeah, we'll do truth at the end.
So I'm adding an extra level on my landmark because if we are in North Carolina, I figure as the birthplace of aviation, I should at least put in a little bit more. So that'll be a 2 landmark.
Okay.
And so that's 1, and then I'm just getting another 2 truths total. So I'll have a total of 3
truths.
Yep.
Nice. Okay. Very cool. So yeah, we'll do truths at the end. So is everybody spent their points? Is anybody else looking like they're good?
I'm still figuring it
out. All right. Tell me about it, Crystal.
I'm going to play around with the cultists because history has had very many math cults. that have sprung up under various for various reasons, and I would like to play off of that. I think.
Okay. Oh, that's pretty cool. Is that real? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Pythagoras had a cult.
Wow.
And there are a whole bunch of mathematicians that had a whole bunch of cult followings. But so yeah, there is a contingent of people, and I forget where in the world, but they believe that like Isaac Newton and George Washington are actual gods. So
wow. Okay. I think that sounds awesome. All right, cool. Well then, when we're talking about cultists, just so are you taking them? What level are you taking them at?
I haven't figured that out yet. I'm still playing around with all my other points.
So you'll need to have them at least level 2 because it costs 2 strain to use them.
Okay.
So at least level 2 for that. And for 2 strain, essentially you demand that they just come help you do something, and they're like, yes, we're there. And you receive bonus dice equal to the worshiper's level for actions that they can assist with. Okay.
Oh, nice.
And it degrades by -1 for each time that you use them. So what that means is, say you had like a level 4 cultist, you'd be like, help me attack this guy. Cool, you have +4 to that roll. And then you're like, help me attack him again. Now you have a +3. All right, cool. Let me attack him again. Now you have a +2. But you only had to strain them, you had to strain them twice. So, but if you're like, oh, well, let me strain them again. Cool. Now you have more bonuses. It's great. So you can keep straining them if you want, but that's going to suck in the end. For them, not for you. But of course, see, that's the cool thing though about worshipers. Like cultists are made for prayer tenders essentially, because prayer tenders are like, oh yeah, just go do it because I said so, and then they'll be like, okay. So, and they're like, yeah, I don't even have to strain you because you're just going to do it because I'm your god. It's like, yeah, that's why. Yeah. Anyway, so it's 2 strain to do that, but essentially it gives you a bunch of extra bonus dice, like lots of bonus dice for a bunch of rolls. So it's great. They also suffer -2 penalties for any social checks or actions requiring the barest modicum of subtlety.
They're all math nerds, so that totally makes sense.
Love it. Love it. So, Damani, you ended up with not only a ton of worshipers, but you also have to you probably going to take some outsiders too, right? Like,
yes, so this is going to take some work in here, but I think I kind of got a general idea of what I'm looking at.
I was going to say, wait a minute. Does the Outlanders not start? Actually, I don't think I told you that they not start off with them. Let's see. Given their close ties to outsiders. No, you don't start off with any levels in outsiders. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, wait, no, that's a different one. The stepchildren don't. Hold on, let me move down to them. Soul, no, that's the Fenric Shackles. All right, here we are. Here we are. No, you don't.
Okay. It's like the hope was there and it's gone.
I was hoping for you, but no. Actually,
I appreciate it.
The outsiders are there. You just can't necessarily use them for your benefit, but they're there.
Yeah,
because you have them as the community. So,
and Aloy, we can save this pool of 5 points and use it to buy more truths, right?
It's 2 points for a truth, correct?
Okay, cool. And relics are all 5 points?
No. Relics are depending upon the level. There's a list. There's a list in the book of like, here's a bunch of level 1s, a level 2s, level 3s.
Just give me like an idea.
Yeah. So and there's rules for just creating your own and just customizing your effects and whatnot. So that's pretty. If you wanted a bunch of points and relics and stuff.
Gotcha. And there we are.
Yeah. The companion actually has a bunch of extra stuff. So if you don't necessarily see something there that looks right, let me know and I can help you with it. Otherwise, so are you thinking, Damani, what kind of like combination of words are you thinking? You ended up with like 4 free levels of worshipers, like before anything.
Let's see. Well, definitely givers are on the list because I'm not exactly rolling in the dough here. So I figured probably like the nice grandmas and aunts, like, oh, come on by. Oh, hey, you look like you haven't eaten anything. Come on by, get some food, that sort of thing. And then also Divine Eyes. I'm definitely looking at that as well.
Nice. Combination of givers and divine eyes, money and knowledge. That sounds really good to me.
Yeah.
Divine Eyes also works with little old ladies who are just like
exactly
sharing all the gossip and everything.
We hadn't defined it yet, but apparently we now live in a geriatric community.
There's always little
will encounter will just be old people now who live in North Carolina.
It's good for business.
It's old North Carolina. Oh gosh. It just makes even more sense now. You guys live in a retirement community. This is amazing.
It's all coming together.
It's like Boca Raton, essentially. Oh, I love it. The fat rat. Or is it the good rat? What's Boca again? I think it's good. So, oh no, Boca is fat, actually. Hold on. Boca Raton. I think it literally translates to like the fat rat, because raton is rat. Anyway. All right, cool.
Doesn't seem like a really nice name for a spot. It's like, hey, let's go to that place with those fat rats.
Names are weird.
Yeah.
So Givers and Divine Eyes. And then have you done anything else? Like raise some levels of some things, or?
Yeah, still working on the math on some of that. Yeah.
All right.
Quick question. As far as like the stuff I got from Archetype, I know individual is like a person. Group bond, that's not worshiper, is it?
No, group bonds are separate from worshipers. It would be a group of mortals of some sort.
Okay, I figured. Okay, cool.
So that might just be like your community, like it could be like the people in your neighborhood. You'd be like group neighborhood people. Done.
Okay.
Boom. Like my neighborhood, and you're good. Or you could do something like and we actually even have neighborhood association as a special upgrade if you wanted that as well. So I did mention that earlier. So if you wanted that, you could do that of just making it my neighborhood people. And that's actually the kind of interesting thing about the game. Again, it's kind of like what I was talking about with Martin earlier. It's like defining your neighborhood as people or defining your neighborhood as the place. So you could be like my neighborhood landmark bond or my neighborhood group bond, and it tells you like what that character finds important. You know what I mean? You're like, oh yeah, we can burn down the house, but as long as the people are good, I'm fine. If it's group bond, so there you go. I mean, I would hope that you're not just burning down places. Arson is, it happens in the game. Arson it's a real thing.
It's frowned upon.
It's frowned upon in polite society, but in RPGs, it's kind of just, it's the norm nowadays. Is what
it's like it was Tuesday,
It's like Tuesday in role-playing games. Everybody's just burning down everybody's houses. It's crazy.
I think you just came up with your new RPG. It's just called Arson. It's frowned upon. That's the whole RPG. And it's basically just an RPG of people speaking to cops and fire inspectors. And it's like Baron Munchausen, but it's over and over and over again. Very limited experience for people.
The whole game is just you trying to convince the fire inspector that it wasn't you.
And it's like 175.
You can go do the next one.
Absolutely correct. And there's charts and matrices and all this dice roll that doesn't amount to anything.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's going to be the next Third Eye Games project. It's going to be
we can come up with some unneeded mechanics.
I'm in.
All right. So, Crystal, what are we looking at? So, did you take an assistant or your lab? Like originally?
I originally took my lab.
Okay.
So, I have right now my
some stuff, right? Let me see.
I I got points for putting into things. So I'm right now I have my lab at 2 and then math cult at 3.
Okay. So, is that it though? Because you should have
No.
either. I was gonna say you should have plus group or individual. Either +2 levels to a group or +2 levels to an individual. Just from Doomed, you should have that. You got to pick one.
Yeah, I did it for the math cult. I haven't spent my extra points yet.
Oh, but the math cult is worshippers, so that doesn't count as a group or individual.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that'll be a different.
Got it.
Yeah. So if you took group, you could be like other scientists or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Maybe some people can help me out with something. What are the vassals that would serve the god of death? Like a hellhound? Feels like on brand. What was that?
The god of death?
Yeah, I have a vassal who thinks that I'm the god of death, but I'm not. But my vassal is like, I'm here to serve you, master. My character's like, sure.
Renfield?
Okay. Good for security. I don't know. Like, great.
You could eat bugs. I mean, whatever.
It's like locusts.
So using the rules for vassals, you can essentially be like, this is like an imp. You can be like, this is an imp that I convinced I'm the god of death or whatever. And using the rules for vassals, you can kind of just make up your own, like whatever.
Yeah.
But if we were going to look at the actual like other outsiders that are in the book, we'd have to look through them and see which ones will align themselves with a Spark 1 god. Because a lot of the time they're not going to be your ally unless you're of a certain power level. So
yeah, because I got 2 free points for my what is it called there? My theology, right? Again. 2 points of vassals, and I had 1 extra point. So I want to have 3 points of vassals.
Like my first response would be a cloak because they're literally the Grim Reaper, but you have to have at least a spark of 3 to have them as an ally. But you don't want a real one anyway. You want something that's tricked.
I have not even tricked it. Like I just want something who believes that I'm a god of death.
Oh,
and I'm not. I'm the god of bucket list. Please just stop.
I love it.
You're just like, God, go in the corner. No.
Vassals can also be like animal companions and stuff too, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be an outsider.
Animal companions. Like if we had somebody in here who was part of the theology that has dragons, they could be like, I want a baby dragon as my vassal, and be like, cool, I'm just gonna spend some points and we're just gonna say it's a baby dragon. But let me see. Devourers. The Devourer could be an interesting one. They're 4 points if you wanted to spend one for Devourers. Essentially, they're like Wendigos or ghouls. They're like flesh eaters. So they're kind of creepy and whatnot. They cost 4 points to have one of those.
Okay.
Hellhounds are listed as Vassal 2.
Yeah, that means it costs 2 points to have them as a vassal.
Hellhound. That's what I was thinking anyway.
Oh, well, then you can have a hellhound. Well, you don't have to convince a hellhound. Hellhound's a dog. So I thought you wanted something sentient that you'd have to be like,
no, it's way better. Like,
okay, well, the hellhound, that's 2.
Cool.
Yeah. Why don't you wouldn't want flesh eaters would be like an easy way to get rid of dead bodies. Although you do have a mortuary, so that's I was about to say. I was like, wait a minute.
Character's concerns.
What is that?
I have a what do we call that? I can't remember. I'm tired.
I have everything I need to dissolve bodies. Trust me.
I have a cremation oven. We're fine.
Yeah, hellhounds are 2. Gorgons cost 3. Cost 3. Dwarves, I think, are 3 as well. Let's see. If you want a Kappa, they cost 2.
I'm good.
I think satyrs cost 2. I'm more just saying it out loud just in case anybody else wants something. If anybody wants a Ningyo, that's like a mermaid. It's a Japanese mermaid. They're 3. If anybody, oh no, you can't pick pucks. Yeah, you can't have pucks as your friends. They are friends to no one except other pucks. Let's see. Rakshasas they have to have Spark 3. Satyrs cost 2. Let's see. Anything else? Snarliquins, they cost 3. The monster from It is a Snarliquin.
Oh, okay. Like you said it so casually, like
everybody knows what a Snarliquin is, right? That word that we made up for this game. Yeah, everybody knows.
Second guessing is like, I should know this, right?
Yeah.
No, they're just like crazy, scary clowns that feed on fear and eat children, and that's why they're in the game. And then elementals, ghosts and whatnot. Unicorns. You can have a unicorn. Wow. There's no limit on that either. It's just 3 points. You got a unicorn on your side. That's crazy. Should have probably put a spark limit on that one. I didn't read off the ones that had spark limits, by the way, a lot of them, because there's a lot of them that do.
I will say that if the character reaches Spark 2, the Phoenix is only 3 points. So
yeah,
that
you
might
have
be
to have Spark 2. So,
but it all has to do with rising and stuff. So there's that. Yeah.
Yep.
I think, Aloy, I'm going to take the 1 point relic, the skeleton key.
Oh, nice.
It's just, again, it's on brand.
Yes.
Sort of.
Skeleton key.
And one of her friend gods gave it to her.
Okay.
Here you go.
Divine allies.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm going to figure that out too. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks a lot for that. That's great.
All right. Let me see. Let me find the divine allies here, because we're gonna have you roll randomly for what the other god is the god of. By the way.
Okay. And can they be part of the same theology as my character?
Let's see here. Let's see what it says here.
I try to represent the triad, how they're like
It says that these gods have their own lives and allegiances, specifically if they belong to a different pantheon. No matter how deep the bond is with the god, a divine ally will always resist acting against orders or ideals of their own pantheon or theology. If ever forced to do so, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so yeah, that's what you have to define when you're doing this. You have to define their theology and what they're the god of. And then that's like a lot of it right there. So,
okay.
So yes, if you want to say that they're of the same theology, they're also a crofter. That makes sense, especially from the concept. And then, so I won't have you roll randomly for what their theology is, but you'll have to roll randomly for what they're the god.
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Do I roll 1d10 first or 2?
I think it's 2 to figure out which chart you roll on.
I think it's 1 actually.
Let me see. It is 1 to figure out which one you roll on. So 1 to 5 is part 1, and then 6 to 10 is part 2.
2.
All right, and now you roll 2 dice to
2d10.
Broad category.
A 10, which is elemental.
Okay.
Then I got deserts.
Nice.
We're in North Carolina. My divine ally is the god or goddess of deserts.
I mean, it happens.
It's pretty
cool desert.
Yeah. So it says divine allies are treated.
We go to deserts because people can't get fresh food here, and they eat a lot of McDonald's. Damani.
It does say here though that they're treated as individual bonds, but they don't add to your territory. But I actually will randomly roll for 2 points of interest on the territory grid to represent where the divine ally has their power.
Cool. Okay.
So,
and I can take them at a variety of points, correct?
Yes. It's the same as anything else. You can take them up to 5. Level 5 cost 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is 3 points a good amount of points?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kitty Hawk was chosen because it has lots of sandy surfaces and stuff like that, and
there you
salt
go.
stuff. So desert isn't entirely out of the area.
And essentially, divine allies, they have a dice pool equal to twice their level when they're operating independently. And and they gain a +1 bonus if they're doing anything that falls under their dominion. And essentially you can strain them to have them either do stuff for you or help you do things, stuff like that.
Okay.
Their cool thing that they can do is that they got a special new ability called Commune, which is it costs 2 strain, and then the divine ally provides mystical enhancement. So essentially they add their level as automatic successes to a single manifestation roll.
Oh, neat.
Because they are aligning their sparks with yours and in reinforcing it and all that junk. But it does cost 2 strain, which sucks. So right. It sounds like Ray just got smearing of like, got some truths, got some divine allies, got some worshipers, got some relics, got some bonds, got a little bit of everything over there. And then Martin's like, I have a really great relic.
Yeah, I've been playing with that. But a really great relic and a somewhat great landmark, or a better landmark than it used to be, basically.
Well, and so just so everybody understands, like the usefulness, there's a usefulness to having high level bonds. There's also the travesty of having it. Sometimes it's good to have a bunch of lower level bonds versus higher level bonds. It just kind of depends on your play style. But essentially, whenever you run out of free time, that's when your bonds come into play, and then they need your attention. And if you don't mess around with them and devote time to them, then you end up straining them. So essentially, having high levels of any of your bonds allow you to use them more. It allows you to ignore them more as well. So that's, a big deal. But if you abuse them too much, it actually hurts more when they like drop a level. So if you like neglect them for so long that they drop a level, it hurts way more if it's a higher level than if it's like a whatever level 1 relationship. You'd be like, oh, I just ignore them and they go away. It's like, cool. Like you don't feel as guilty about it. But if it's like this super duper important person in your life and you have harmed them in some way, then it hurts like a lot. And that's where failings come into play, but nobody starts off with any failings because you guys did not pick the theologies that would have done that to you. So
Aloy, I have a gift for you. I randomly generated the name for my bond, and the name he came up with was Santa Gisselmund. So this is their nickname, and his last name is Gisselmund. I believe he's a Norwegian in North Carolina who's the god of deserts. This guy got it worse than my character got it. I mean, this guy's like, oh yeah, sure. He's just a Norwegian guy. He's like,
I feel like that's gonna be a lot of fun. Yes, I like the Norwegian god of deserts just hanging out with your pantheon.
Like, and he's level 4, so he calls on me a bunch. He's like, listen,
you took him at a level 4? Oh my gosh,
yeah,
that's awesome. All right, cool. Well, okay.
Oh, and and for my what's it called? Individual bond, I'm going with the wise relationship.
Okay, that's for your coach, right?
He's my coach, yeah. So I figured I considered, what was it? Approval seeking, but I think wise as being a mentor, works a little bit more.
Approval seeking would be like like they would call you because they want to show you something because they know you're gonna love it. You know what I mean? And then you'd be like, oh, but I don't have time to come and see the thing you built. And they'll be like, well, forget you then. Because because everybody's children. It's all just children. They all just go, well, you're mean. All right. So I think we're about done with this step, right? I mean, it was spend 5 points. So
practically left for me. And just to make sure, it was like not 5 points for me because of my
it was
outsider
3 for
attack.
you, correct.
Okay.
But you got like a bunch of like other things anyway.
Oh,
Like you
yeah.
got them for your choices. Crystal, you've been kind of quiet. Do you have any questions or anything of this step?
No, so I figured out. Okay, so my group bond is actually going to be with the science department.
Okay.
With the university.
Nice. I love it. All right, cool. So then we need to define truths. Everybody gets a truth. Martin gets 2 additional truths, apparently. Martin, I guess let's start with you. Did you have ideas for your other 2 truths, I guess, or for your 3 truths?
I think I've got ones for all 3.
Okay. What are you picking?
So so I did like the idea that I could have some sort of wings.
Okay.
But given that my power is so based on flight, the wing or flight truth, I mean, moving twice my movement speed would be really nice, but kind of redundant in a lot of other
I would
ways.
agree with you because also you'd have to spend a fragment to activate that.
Right.
And it's like, or you can just make a roll, and as long as you get 1 success, then you're flying.
Right.
So I would probably nix flight as a truth because it already falls under what you're the god of.
So I did want to keep those wings though, but I had the idea of making it a lash. Like I could like sprout all these wings and like buffet people with them.
Okay.
Or I do like that Marcus from Underworld 2 and like stab them with them from across. And I'm picturing like a mix of like feathers and scales and stuff like that. I don't want him to look like an angel, but this.
Well, I mean, it would just be super fast too, because Lash is not. I summon wings and do. It's more like you just look at them
Like,
and all of a
rips
sudden.
out of my back and like flam.
I was thinking. I was thinking it would be more like they go, "Ugh," and then like they see a single feather fall in front of them, and they're like, "What the hell? Where did that come from?" So because if you want like combat wings, that might work better as like extra appendages.
Mm-hmm.
You can take extra appendages and then take arms, but then say that they're wings that sprout out, and then you fight with them.
Let's see.
Something like that. We can probably we can work around with like the extra appendages arms, and then we can just mess around with that. Like I wouldn't give you a +1 crafts bonus because they would be wings, but maybe a +1 travel bonus
cool.
if you summon them or something to that effect.
I do like that idea a lot. Yeah.
And then the +2 fighting for attacking and parrying. So you would get that and the bonus for your rolls for flying. So yeah,
that works out great actually. Yeah, better than those. And then my other 2 would be unobscured eyes, like the god of flight can see through clouds and darkness.
That's a great one.
And projectiles that fly through the air cannot harm the god of flight for armored.
Nice. And you're armored specifically against like ranged attacks.
Physical things that move through the air, ranged attacks. Yeah, not energy, not lightning, but
All right, and it provides armor 2 for each spark you have. So for right now, since everybody's at spark 1, so you have armor 2 against physical things flying through the air at you. Sounds great.
Yeah,
that works out just fine. All right, cool. Does anybody else know what their truth is going to be? Oh, Crystal nodded. What do you got?
Yes. So I my truth is going to be divinely skilled.
Okay.
What is it for? Knowledge.
For knowledge.
For knowledge.
Ooh. Okay. Specifically, what's the specialization there? Because it's not for the overall skill; it's for use of it.
Yeah, it's for specifically for math. So she specializes. She's give a specialty in math.
Gotcha. Okay. And what that means is that regardless of what your roll is, we will always treat it as if you got at least one success. So you could roll all ones and that should be a critical success, a critical failure. But we just treat it as you got one success. So because you don't fail at that thing. And it's so funny because like so many people thought that like they've played with that one and they're like, it seems so OP, and I'm like, it's really not though. Like, calm down.
It's a very, very specific thing.
It's very specific. Like you can take it in combat if you're like the god of swordsmen and you're using a sword and you're like, I never miss while I'm using a sword. That's cool. That just means that you're always doing at least 1 point of damage. It's not as crazy as everybody thinks it is. It just means like, oh, you missed, but you also kind of you were just close enough. You nicked them across their cheek and dealt 1 point of damage. But anyway, I mean, but if they're armored, so it didn't do anything anyway. So that's how that works. Damani, what do you got?
Okay, I'm still trying to figure out like the phrasing of it, but basically, what I'm trying to get at with them is like, let me see. No harm will come to somebody that I'm protecting. So it's like basically, he would throw himself in front of an attack before someone gets hit. And I'm trying to work on the phrasing of that.
Okay. So yeah, we can work on the exact wording, but it sounds like maybe it's something like you can, if somebody like that's under your protection would get hurt, you can take damage for them.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Okay. We can do something like that, and we might just have to do something like this is only going to apply to someone that you say you are under my protection. It's not going to generally apply to everybody.
You are all under my protection.
Yeah.
No.
I guess probably we should. I mean, and this is us. That doesn't exist, so we're going to make it up right now.
All right.
So, this thing doesn't exist, so we can say like, like at I would say in any scene you can just choose somebody and you can say they are under your protection, and if they were to get hurt, you can take the damage for them. And that's regardless of how far they are or whatever, just like you are protecting them. You don't even have to get in the way. They get shot, they're perfectly fine, but you got a hole in your gut.
Son of a bitch.
So this will be a thing. It'll be like, so choose wisely who you choose. But also, you were definitely the god of protection. So I dig it.
All right.
So you can word that however you want it, but we'll just say, and I'm not even gonna make it cost you anything because it's gonna end up costing you damage. So, and what else? Oh, and so the stipulation here. So I guess I'll give you the choice. It can either cost you and you take that damage normally, or it doesn't cost you and you can't negate it or use armor. It cannot be reduced. So, if you're like walking around, you're like, I'm a big tough guy, your normal defense isn't going to work against it because it's mystical, so.
I think the no cost one has a lot of role play potential on that one.
Sounds good. All right. So it's free and you can choose one person every scene and you can switch it up. You'd be like, I'm going to protect Martin this scene, Ray next scene, Crystal. You can protect whoever you want for free, but one person per scene is under your protection. And you have to take their damage regardless of any mystical protections that you might have put into place. Sounds great.
I'm good with that.
How would that factor in with something like my character's armor? Like if someone shoots a bullet at me and I've activated the armor, or I've got the armor.
Your armor doesn't have to be activated. That's always on.
Oh, cool.
That one's passive.
Cool.
And if you've got armor and I've chosen you, clearly I've chosen poorly on that scene.
Not they have a flamethrower or something.
Right, what it is it's whatever damage you would take, he would take it instead. So if you have armor and you've reduced it, then he'll take a reduced amount. So that's nice, but you have to reduce it for him. He can't reduce it.
Gotcha. Cool. That was my question. Like, does it factor in my protection from arrows and stuff? Yeah.
Gotcha. And we can name that as like, no ward will be harmed under the watchful gaze of the god of protection, or
There we go.
something like that. Because you're essentially making whoever it is your ward. You know, they are under my care.
It's like, bro, I just met you. Hold
on. Take me out to dinner first. Really.
Exactly.
We are not like that.
Making these dramatic speeches like Storm.
I like it. All right, and then Ray.
I have it.
Last one.
I have it. My character is the goddess of aspirations.
Ooh, okay.
Word, I think, right? And
that is exactly the word I was thinking of.
What her truth is that she shares in others' aspirations all-consumingly. So what that means to me is that if she can engage someone in a dialogue about their aspirations, they will only focus on her. And she can do that for as long as she keeps it going.
I love it.
Imagine she's sitting with a cup of tea and she's talking to people, and then in the goofy version, there's some version where like the rest of the party is like twinkle-toeing past, and the person doesn't notice because they're dialed into like, I am going to start a family band, right?
Yeah.
Talking to them, drinking her tea.
So what I would likely do is, again, since we're making this one up, I would say it's an active one. And what I would say is that you would have the option of spending either a fragment or a free time to activate it.
Oh, cool.
Because it seems like it's like if you're like spending time to talk with them about the thing, I think that's a good kind of trade-off there. But I'll say that you have the option of spending either. And it's obviously free time is easier to get. So I'll say one free time or one fragment. If you do spend the fragment, then I'll say you get like a +2 to whatever you're attempting to do with that effect. For instance, if you are trying to talk to them to distract them so the others can sneak by, then if you do the one free time, then cool, they can do that. If you spend a fragment, then they all get +2 to their sneaks. Is that fair?
So if I spend a fragment, they get, because fragments cost more than free times. That's right. What you're saying.
Yeah, free time is like you're going to spend it and come back, spend it and come back, and fragments, like, it's a big deal.
Absolutely correct. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. All right, cool. Sounds great. So you can kind of just do it with free time, or if you want to give it some extra oomph, you can spend a fragment. Yeah. All right, very cool. All right, so that is the last like intense part of this. The rest of it actually is pretty easy because the rest of it is just us doing math, which is Crystal's expertise. So we're on step 6, which is finishing touches, final touches. So the first thing is we're going to enhance our skills and manifestations. So you have 10 additional skill points to spend and 4 additional manifestation points to spend. That should make you end with 30 skill points and 10 manifestation points, unless you bump something up to a level 5, because level 5s cost 2 points. So that's the first thing you're going to do, is spend 10 skill points, spend 4 manifestation points. And this is where, outside of the training that you got from the type of god you are and your theology, you can go branch off like with Ray, like if you're like, oh, I really want this effect under soul, but I didn't start off with any soul, so let me put some of my points in the soul. And just to kind of, reference what each of the manifestations do. Let me go there actually. So there's Aegis. It's all about protection stuff, Damani. So if Damani doesn't have a super high Aegis, this is going to be a weird game as the god of protection. So anyway, Aegis is all about using your powers for protection. So Beckon is all about summoning or banishing things that pertain to your thing. So for instance, if Martin was like, oh, that thing was flying by, and you were like, no, it wasn't. I banish flight from that thing. It's not flying anymore. It's now falling. So there's that. So there's banish and summon there. Journey is anything that has to do with travel, using your dominion for travel. The effects under that are blink, phasing, and whatnot, and swift. So Martin will probably be using swift a lot. Probably Damani will be using swift a lot. If you even have it. Let's see. God of Aspirations, Journey. Well, see, so God of Aspirations, it could be something like you just learn that this person really wishes that they, could go to this place, and you could be like, well, then you're there. We're going. So bam, you're blinking right there. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It just has to 100% pertain to what you're the god of, and you have complete freedom within that. All right, so then that's Journey. Minion is whenever you're kind of affecting people or creatures with whatever you're the dominion of. You can bestow them with abilities. You can enchant them. You can also bring inanimate objects to life, which is one of my favorite abilities. So then there's that. So Oracle is all about sensing things. So you can, if you have Oracle Ray, you would be like, what is their aspiration? I'm going to make a roll. Hey, you know it now because you sensed it in them.
Gotcha.
So there's that. You can read minds and stuff like that. So.
And then, Lloyd, just so I understand, if we have the Oracle thing, do we then get to access all of the sub things like area sense and read minds?
The sub things are just example effects.
Gotcha. So it's pretty wide open, and that's just like, this is kind of what it does. Cool.
But also because it all kind of matters based on what your dominion is, right? Because like you could take, like, Oracle works really well for aspiration. It works really well for emotional ones. Like, but it doesn't necessarily work all that well if you were like, say, well, the god of protection, you could use Oracle to be like, let me see if somebody needs protection. Like, but that's, or if like you see somebody who's scared, you can read their mind and be like, what do they need protection from? But it all has to, again, it all has to pertain to what you're the god of. And some of these effects and manifestations are more useful with some than with others. So it is kind of all based on concepts. Puppetry is kind of fine manipulation of things, moving things around, whatnot. When, telekinesis, if you have a tangible thing, it's like, oh, I make the sword fly around because that's what I do. But one of my favorite things is transfer. And that's something like you can basically take something away. So God of Flight, for instance, you could be like, I'm going to take the ability to fly from that thing and I'm going to give it to this thing. So you can do something like that. And that's with puppetry because it's about manipulation of the thing, not canceling or summoning or creating anything new. You can only manipulate what's there. Ruin is anytime you're going to use your manifestation to cause damage. Just if your intent is damage, that's a ruin. Now, if you do something else and it causes damage on the back end, that's different than you're doing this to cause damage. So like the three effects there are like blast, which is like I throw a fireball, so it's like there's no other use for that fireball. That is just to attack somebody. Gaius is a fun one in my opinion, because it's the like I keep going back to aspiration because the emotional ones seem to fit with a lot of these with like things like this. But Gaius could be like, you need to follow your aspiration or it will hurt you.
Oh, gotcha.
Like you can do something like that, or you can do the opposite and be like, I know you really want this, but if you go after it, you're gonna die. Because that's if you wanted to be a bastard about it.
Yeah.
And then there's shaping, which is shaping. It's changing yourself, changing something else, or changing your environment. So there's shaping. It's pretty much in the name. And then there's soul, which is kind of about affecting the incorporeal aspects of whatever you're the god of. So there's call spirits. So soul is what you use to summon spirits. Figments, creating illusions. That's how you would do that. Or what I was talking about earlier, redefining things. One of my favorites that I had done was I made a god of names, and I was just like, oh, well, here's a bottle cap, but I'm going to redefine the name of this as $10 bill. And then I'm going to, and I would hand it to somebody and they're going to look at it and they're going to be like, this is a $10 bill because this item's soul name is $10 bill. So it was fun. You can mess around with stuff like that. So anyway, those are the 9 manifestations that you now should have 10 points in some combination. Now there's obviously benefits to this. Unlike skills, where if you don't have any points in it, you can still do it. For manifestations, if you don't have any points in it, you cannot do that thing. Okay. So if there's something you're like, I really don't need that, then don't spend points in it. Some people like to be like, oh, well, I'm going to try and have as many options as I can. So that they'll put like 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. That obviously will dilute your dice pools though, because you want a lot of dice, because that's how you get good effects, is lots of successes. So, all right. And then the 10 skill points again, what levels 1 through 4 are 1, 5 is 2. If anybody has any questions as to what individual skills do, let me know. Manifestations is usually where people have questions, not skills normally. So,
what about travel for skills?
Okay. Travel is it's basically like vehicle operation. It's like knowing how to get from one place to another, essentially.
Oh, okay. Just making sure I wasn't missing something else in there.
Wait a minute. Didn't you write the skill chapter? Wait a minute.
Oh God.
Wait a minute.
So it's been a little while. Oh, well then.
It's right there.
Well, that's awkward.
I'm sorry. I had to call it out. I'm sorry. I had to.
You just got a new spark. Now you're also the god of shame. Shame.
Thank you.
Not just any shame, writer's shame.
Yes, it's very specific.
So this is the skill of planning and plotting a course to a different location. It represents a character's knowledge of travel methods, paths, and vehicle operation. A character with low travel can get lost in their own hometown, while one with higher level can direct you to a specific neighborhood on the other side of the world.
That wording sounds very familiar now. Yes, thank you.
That's why.
I was like, that's how I talk.
And honestly, the core book is really good. So travel in might to force one steed to turn the way it doesn't want to go. Travel in intuition to avoid a questionable area in an unfamiliar city. Travel plus speed to make a hairpin turn while driving. Travel plus tech to maintain equipment on a long trip. So like, if you read the skill chapter, every single one of them tells you what it does and then how it interacts with other skills as well. But Damani knows that. Oh my God.
That will follow me for the rest of my days.
Now, mind you, you wrote it like 3 years ago. So, I mean,
this is true.
3 years ago either,
but just so I understand it, how much journey does my character need to know to send someone on a fabulous vacation to Paris, France?
Depends on how far you would want them to go.
So if we're in Georgia and I want them to go to Paris, France.
Okay. So literally, as long as you have one dot in it, one level, then you can attempt it. But obviously, the more successes you get, the further you can send them.
Okay. Do you have an idea of how many successes one would need to send someone from North Carolina to Paris?
Right up, actually. No. The way that manifestations work is there's a chart. So it's super easy. I live by charts. Range.
That sounds like Blink, right?
What's that?
That seems like that is Blink.
It would be like a blink, right?
Cool. Okay, I'm just trying to track it, just so I understand.
So let me see. It would be blink. You would no successes because you only have one target, and then if you're trying to send them to another country, that would be 7 successes.
Holy smokes! So super hard.
Kinda.
It feels like a lot.
So it depends on how much dice you have. I mean, I've seen people get 5 successes on 3 dice before. So sure. I mean, that's 2 10s and a something else.
Yeah.
So you can. It's crazy how many successes you can get with just a small amount of dice. But also, fragments give you 3 successes, and not 3 dice. They give you 3 successes.
Okay, so if my character wants to put their juice into it, I can send someone to Paris, France.
Right, and then there's temple keepers, there's faithful, there's there's divine allies. Divine allies will give you bonus successes. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to manipulate that role. Yeah.
Gotcha. So like I can't send everyone to Paris, France every day.
No.
But if Miss Rooster wants to go to Paris, France, if I plan for it, if I'm like, pack your bags, you're leaving tomorrow.
Yep.
We can then I have to talk to my people, and we can, because she doesn't like to fly, but she's very comfortable teleporting.
There you go. Exactly. Oh, I love that. I love that she doesn't like to fly, and she's in the pantheon with the god of flight. I love it.
She's not into it. Flying. Ray doesn't like to fly. So
it's not my thing. I get it. All right, cool. So is everybody done spending their points? No. Okay.
I get it.
Still playing. 1 second.
Well, if you guys are done spending your points, the next step is to pick 2 specialties. One for a skill and one for manifestation. So for instance, a specialty would be fighting with a sword. So for any fighting role, you would use your regular fighting, but if you had a sword, you get an additional die. That's what a specialty does. It just gives you an additional die. So for instance, if you were to say give Ray, you would pick a specialty in Blink for Journey.
Gotcha.
And then you get an additional die for using that because your character is good at doing that.
Cool.
So, and you pick one for a skill, one for a manifestation. And then we get to the territory grid. Then that's when the real fun begins.
So real quick, Aloy. So for like a specialty for like discipline could be like keeping their cool.
Yes.
Or is that what discipline does anyway?
Exactly. But specifically keeping your cool would mean that something is enraging you and you are resisting that thing. So, but you can also take like concentration, ignoring pain, things like a specific use for that. Like generally the skill does this. You'd be like, I'm going to pick one of the things that it does and I get an additional die for that.
Gotcha. So I think I'm going to take influence and I'm going to take calming people down. Like, right, people are sad and they're very sad because they lost a loved one, and my character is able to. It's all right, like that.
Yeah. So for discipline, what we have listed here is meditation, resisting pain, and calmness. And for influence, seduction, intimidation, negotiation. So yeah, so that works. Like, okay. Yeah, calming people down.
Sure.
Yeah. Anybody else have any need any assistance with a specialty? I mean, I can give you the examples that are in the book, so yeah. No, everybody's good. All right, great. It got quiet all of a sudden.
I ain't saying nothing.
That's right. You wrote that part too. No. So yeah, so the let me see here. I mean, so probably Martin, you probably took some athletics and something, some athletics.
Yeah. I figured I got it all done. So I figured that
the general specialty.
Yeah, I mean, I already had like 1 point in athletics already from one of the earlier things, but I'm an Olympic athlete. I've really got to boost that all the way to 5. So I spent another 4.4,
another
5, another 5 points to raise it to athletics 5. I think I had like 2 points in perform, and I boosted that up with another 2. So
that's good. Athletics and perform. That's like your job. So.
Right. I didn't want to go all the way there just based on my occupation, but I also boosted speed up to 3 and kept everything else the same.
Cool. So as a specialty, what did you end up taking?
So for skills, my specialty is athletics, gymnastics.
Good. That's exactly what I was going to suggest.
Yeah. For manifestations, let's see. I forget what I originally started with, but I think I added puppetry 2 to be able to make other objects fly or creatures fly or things like that.
Okay.
And I added ruin 2 in case I wanted to like. And what blast might be a little tricky. Geist might be good for like, okay, you need to get on that plane and fly out, or else you're going to regret it, kind of thing. But the real one I wanted was the warrior thing.
Yeah.
That makes you like this terrifying flying and monster that can attack stuff and things like that.
Oh yeah, totally. That works out.
But
right, cool.
really low on nothing in Oracle or Soul. So the more intangible stuff I can't really deal with. Oh,
That's fair. That's fair.
And my specialty in manifestations is in Journey with Swift, as previously established.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah. See, I see. I can guess these sort of things. Crystal, what are your specialties?
So I have a specialty with knowledge for math.
Okay.
And then for my manifestation specialty, I actually have puppetry manipulation.
Okay. All right. I love it. So you took a specialty in math as well as the divinely skilled in math as well. You're just like just all over right there with the math. Like so many. No, I love it. I love it. All right. And then Ray, you done with skills and stuff?
Yep. I am.
Awesome. What did you end up taking as your specialties?
I took a specialty in calming people down from influence. And I have not decided my specialty yet for manifestations.
Okay.
But, you can
figure that out. Just make sure that you, because what ends up happening sometimes is people forget to do it. And it's one of those little things that like, then you're missing out on a die if you don't.
Well, yeah.
So
you're missing out on 16 to 20% of your material to do something.
Exactly. So, all right, cool. So the next step is the territory grid. And this is going to be kind of the crazy part here. Because I think you guys have a lot of things that we're going to end up needing to put on this chart. So let's do that. All right. So who wants to start off with theirs? We'll go step by step. Martin, you want to do yours first?
Sure thing. I think I've got relatively little though, because
so individual bonds, landmark bonds, worshipers. That's what's going to end up on here.
So I've got an individual bond and a landmark bond. And
what is your individual bond?
My coach, Dean Whitley. Whitley.
Okay. All right, cool. So roll. Do you want me to roll or are you going to roll?
I have my dice here.
Yep. All right. It's 2d10. We're going to see where it ends up on the thing. I got 2 dice unless somebody else wants to roll.
It's 2d10, you said?
2d10. Because I should probably have an electronic version of this. I'll make one up later. But essentially, we're gonna plot out where we are, where all of our stuff is on the territory grid there. So
I got 6 on the first one and 7 on the second.
6, 7. All right, cool. Sounds good. And is that your only one? No, you should have a landmark bond too. Everybody has at least one landmark bond.
Right. So
6, 7.
Okay, something's going on. The downloaded sheet is acting weird.
Yeah, it's I didn't actually make that, like a fan made it, but yeah, it's if you put something on the edge, like it copies over to the next one. I'm gonna have to end up going in and fixing that.
Okay, but
that's why I'm just writing it down. Otherwise, I was gonna do it electronically, but
right.
I guess I gotta write it down.
So 6, 7, and the other one for.
What did we make what is your landmark? What is it?
I'm calling it the.
Well, that's like it's the cliff, the thing. Let's call it the crest.
Okay.
We'll know what it is.
Yeah.
All right, so let's roll for that.
Crest.
So and the cool thing, like I said, if you're the Hearthfire Society, then you get to just place these. And actually, you also get to play some of the other people in the group. So you'd be like, "Oh, I rolled randomly. It's over here." It's like, no, I'm gonna say that it's over here. It's such a great ability that, like, it's so underrated. Anyway, sorry. Right, go.
No. So the crest came out at 4-2.
4-2 for the crest. All right, 4 and 2. Very cool. Do you have any individual? So do you have?
That was individual and landmark.
No worshippers.
No worshippers yet.
All right, you are done, sir. All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
All right, Damani, there you go.
All right. Well, we got a few. Okay, so group bond, the neighborhood.
Yes.
Let's see, and hey, happen to have the dice in front of me. 6-4.
6-4. All right. Let me see. You're the protection. I'm gonna make your symbol a shield.
Nice.
Martin's is just an arrow up. That's what I have as his symbol. And then yours is a shield now. All right. So, and you said that's 4. I'm sorry, that was 6-4. 6-4. All right. What else you got?
Okay. Location. The club. I still haven't figured out which sort of club it is. Maybe it's a bar. Maybe it's a nightclub. I don't know.
It'll work out.
Yeah. That will be 1-6.
1-6 for the club.
Okay.
Homeless shelter, right?
Yep. Let's see.
I remember some stuff occasionally.
There's a lot going on. 2-4.
2-4. All right. We have our first 2 locations next to each other, so that's good. That is the homeless shelter is right next door to. Let me see. Hold on. 2-4 and 4-2 is right next to the crest. Actually, so that's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people drawn to it or something like that. And
Okay.
Could just be proximity,
Exactly.
It could just be that, that just so happens to be over there. Or they found that, like, maybe there was a lot of desperation, so people were flinging themselves over things. So they're like, let's put a shelter there so that we can maybe get people to just come in off the street and then they don't feel
let's not jump. Let's not jump.
No, let's not do that. Yes.
Could it even be like a shelter that they put in like an old church?
Yeah.
Like there's an old church up on like a raised area.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. That's cool. Is that it for you, Damani?
Oh no, I got
no, because you have worshippers. So you're divine eyes, and you said you had givers as well.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so starting with the divine eyes,
which
I figure Mr. Saul got to kind of like just works odd jobs in the area and stuff. So you can normally see him. Oh, he's cutting the lawn over here. Oh, he's painting the building over here. He sees some stuff.
He's seen some things.
5-2.
5-2 for him. 5-2. Wow, you guys are. Every time you guys roll a 2, you guys are, getting up on there. All right, so let me see the rules here for Divine Eyes real quick. So Divine Eyes possess a level by level block of the territory grid as their purview. For example, a level 2 would be familiar with activities 2x2 in a 2x2 area around where they are. So what level do you have them at?
Level 2.
Level 2. Okay. Just so I can mark that.
Oh yeah.
As Divine Eyes. Divine Eyes. Divine Eyes. Yeah. Divine Eyes. All right.
Okay. And then there are the givers, aka the grandmas.
All right, cool. Let's see what you get.
5-3.
5-3. Oh wow. Yeah, because there was 5-2 before. Wow. Right next to each other. All right, so I have, and this is the grandmas. Let me write that down. Grandmas and Mr. Saul. All right, cool.
He probably does a lot of work for them.
This just so everybody sees it. So far, this top part of this map is just like you got, it's like all you guys right here. So you guys are if something's happening in north part of town,
we got
it. All about it. All about it.
It's the highest part of town. Obviously.
Also, did you send a copy of that out when you're done? I kind of missed some of the spots.
All right, cool. And is that it for you, Damani?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. All right, who wants to go next? All right, Crystal.
All right, so first it's gonna be my lab.
All right.
So I have 3 and 6.
3, 6. All right. What are you the god of again? You're the god of math. All right, I'm just gonna put a plus symbol then. Or no, I'm gonna put a equal symbol.
Pi.
A pi? I don't want to have to draw pi every time I'm doing this. But wait, pi. What the hell is pi?
Pi is in the math symbol.
It's like a wiggly line with 2 smaller lines coming out from the bottom.
Okay, that's what I thought it was. Oh, that's nothing. Then yeah, I can draw that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then your lap. I'm sorry. What was the number again? 3, 6.
3 and 6.
3, 6. Okay. So 3, 6, and it's that. Okay, got it. Okay.
All right, and
do you have any individual bonds?
No, not individual bonds, just a group bond.
What about your landmark bond that pertains to math?
That'd be the lab.
But you got your lab from your occupation.
I did. Oh, that one. Oh. All right. I will. Yeah, I did not write that one down.
Okay.
Okay. I will figure that out. Give me a second.
Okay, that's fine. The you were a crossover. Yeah, you got a level 2 landmark bond that has to pertain to math. It could. I mean, you could just say it's the university, or whatever.
Yeah, we'll do the university because then that way the science department will be there.
Okay. You do have to roll randomly for the university because your lab could be outside of that.
Oh, that's fine. All right, so 2 and 3.
2, 3. Okay. 2, 3 for pi. All right. Again, north side of town. Y'all guys, you got that on lock now. All right, so I have your lab and your university. Did you have any worshipers or individual bonds?
I have the math cult.
The math. Oh yeah, your cultists. Duh. Okay.
7 and 0.
7, 0. All right. All right. You got trying to fill in some of the lower ones there. I like it. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, I did 0, 7. 7 and then 0 is actually right up there in the north. So yeah.
We're all just hanging out.
Because I go across and then down. So 7 across and then nothing down. So it's just at the top. Wonderful. Okay. So all right. So then that's you, and then Ray. We just need Ray's.
Cool. All right. Let's see if I can figure out how to do this. All right. I have my funeral parlor, which is my job site.
Okay. Funeral parlor.
It's a level 2 funeral parlor.
All right. And then let's see what we get.
It's an all right funeral parlor.
It's an all right. I mean, it's an all right one.
Oh, I'm roll or you roll?
No, you guys have been rolling it, so it's fine.
Okay.
Or I can roll it either way.
7, 8.
7, 8. Right. And you are the god of aspirations. I'm just gonna have yours be an A.
There you go.
That's the easiest way to do that.
I agree. It better be a capital A though. It cannot be a lowercase a. That would be nonsense for aspirations. It's a capital A.
It's a capital A. It's a capital A.
Listen, I just want to make sure.
All right, so that's that one.
Yep, my friend's her travel agency, Great Escapes.
Okay.
Just another place I know. Is 1-7. Is she across town?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
Wait, is that a landmark bond for her place or an individual bond for her?
It is a landmark bond for her place.
Okay, got it. All right.
And I even think maybe we don't even have a relationship anymore, but that's where my character goes instead of a nightclub to siphon other people's aspirations off of them.
Wow.
It's
it's like because especially if you don't like her, because people go in and be like, I can't wait to go, and then as soon as like they see you and they're like all of a sudden I don't feel like
I'm basically cooler for her business. I wait outside with like a cup of coffee and people will be like, no, I think I'm just gonna wait until I die.
Yeah, I don't even want to do this anymore. Okay, so funeral parlor, travel agency.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I have Calvin Hill. This is my husband, so I assume this is where we live.
All right, and it's an individual bond.
Individual bond.
Calvin Hill.
6'5".
6'5". 6 and 5. Wow. Okay.
And then
all right. And do you have any more?
I have three more, I think. I have Santa Gisselmund, my Norwegian friend.
Divine allies don't actually show up on the they don't show up on the territory.
Well, he's from out of town, that makes it easier. I have my faithful. Do I have to roll for them?
Yes. If you have faithful, then yes.
I do. I have level 2 faithfuls. 0-0. Is that the bottom right corner?
Yeah, it's 10-10. So that means
it is literally the farthest away, I think, from most.
Yes, it is the farthest away as you can get from where your core of power is centered.
Absolutely correct. I do a lot of travel to go. Like I only go see them when I really need the juice.
Yes. Yes.
Like I'm gonna skip it.
I love it. And then
my Hellhound. Do I have to roll for my Hellhound or no?
Nope. Vassals and divine allies, you don't roll for them. Although I am going to roll randomly for 2 locations for your divine ally, just to say like this is where they hang out, but it doesn't actually interact with your guys' territory.
Okay.
So let me see. I'm just going to put a little dot.
One of the places is an IKEA.
What's that?
One of the places is an IKEA.
Wait, you have a landmark that's an IKEA?
No, but I think one place is okay. Hangs out is an IKEA.
It's an IKEA. I'm gonna write that down.
They go there for the meatballs.
There's an
they
IKEA.
feel comfortable there.
They
what would
go
be
pretty
the
good.
other location? Oh, obviously a desert. It's gonna be like just a desolate part of town.
Yeah, sure, like this barren part of town.
Love
like, oh, so there's.
And that is 2 4.
I absolutely love the idea of this Norwegian guy in a barren part of some city in North Carolina just hanging out. And everyone's like, what's up with that guy? And they're like,
so honestly, kind of looking at this, I mean, it's good. It's good the way it all lined up. I would say kind of except for the Divine Eyes, only because the Divine Eyes is like already checking out where you guys are like centered on power. So like you're gonna always know what's happening right on top of you and not necessarily anywhere else in town. So it kind of depends on what you would want to do. Like would you want to, I'm gonna give you the option of you can either keep it there as a level 2, or I'm gonna let you, if you wanted to, I can reduce the size of that aura by 1 square and then give you another like square somewhere else on the map.
Let's split it up.
Okay. It just seems like it's like overkill essentially. So it's like I'm thinking about you guys. I mean, if you want to keep it, you can. I'm just
no. That's good.
All right, roll again then for your other divine eyes there then.
You know what? Could you roll for this one?
Yeah, sure. It wasn't that much better. It's 2-8.
Alright, it's
Still
up.
up north, but at least it's up north, but on the right side a little bit more.
Well, that's where
So-
we're moving into next.
There we
What's that?
go.
That's where we're moving into next.
Yes. So that's at least something. Divine eyes, divine eyes, divine eyes, divine eyes. Okay. Oh gosh. All right. Your divine eyes were at 5, 5, 2. Okay. Yes. So yeah. All right. Got it. All right. Oh my gosh. So maps are fun. I enjoy them.
Are we going to assume Mr. Saul travels around, or should I come up with someone else?
Wait, what?
As far as the divine eyes, is like okay,
Yeah, he gets around. He's
Okay.
a handyman, so he's just kind of
he's everywhere.
everywhere. All right. So here, I'm doing the math here. I should probably just get Crystal to do this one for me. Oh no, that's a.
I mean, what math do you need help with? Because I'm
No,
actually
I don't. I'm good. I don't actually need any help. All I'm doing is just adding up where you guys will have bonuses. So +2, +1, +2, +1, +1, +1, +1, +1, +2. All right. Almost done. All right. So this is essentially what the map is going to look like. So basically, where if you are on one of those squares, that's the bonus that you'll get to manifestation rolls. And you'll notice that up at the north, you have a bunch of +3s, and it's because you have a bunch of territory up there. And that's another thing, Ray. Like you're like, how do you get that many dice? It's just like, well, if you do a manifestation up where you have lots of concentrated power, you get extra bonus dice for that.
Cool.
So, but if you're down here in this corner, you're only going to get a +1 because
All my homies are down there.
they're all by its little lonesome.
Uh,
But you'll notice too, like throughout the map, like there's just a bunch of +1s, but there's a lot of spaces where you won't have any bonus. So if things happen in those areas, it will be harder for you to do. And when I'm running the game, that's what I end up doing is I'm like, oh, you guys hear about a thing that happened at a place. Let me see where that place is on the map. Oh, it's there. And it might end up in your territory or it might not be in your territory.
fun.
Yeah. So it's fun. Anyway, that's I think the last step.
Oh, I figured out my relic.
Oh.
Finally.
Tell us.
So it's a little out of my initial concept. I wanted like a weapon of some kind.
Mhm.
And even though I'm going for a gymnast, I thought it might be cool to have a javelin that I could maybe use as like a spear, as well as. So I'm calling it the Soaring Star. It's 4 points of the relic. So 1 was spent on making it a weapon.
Okay.
1 point of fragment storage. So I got an extra little bit of.
You have an extra fragment.
Yeah. It's summonable, so I can like do the Mjolnir thing and have it fly to my hand. With the elemental effect of fire, I'm saying that it's made of like meteoric iron, so that it glows and it like burns with re-entry and stuff. So I'm kind of branching out away from like the air stuff to.
Yeah. I dig it. All right, guys. So we have the map done, and I'm gonna like type up this map and stuff and do like make it pretty and send you guys a copy. So there's that. So the last things we have to do is first we have our total free time and wealth, but we do need to record what the job free time wealth is because that's going to determine what you get when you go to work. So it's separate. You have your total values, but then you have to just mark down that separately. Because when you go to work, you get your full wealth from the job, but only half rounded down free time back from going to your job. So for instance, I think Damani's was 3-3, right?
Yes.
So if you go to work, you'll get 3 wealth and 1 free time back. And that's how that works. There's like, I'll be like, okay, cool. What are you guys going to do in the next scene? And you can be like, man, I'm really running low on wealth. I'm going to go to work. Essentially removing yourself from the next scene. You're saying my character is going to be at work. So then I'll be like, cool. Okay, well, then the rest of you go and you do this. All right, cool. And now Damani's going to join us when we go into the next scene. So that's essentially how that works. But that's really kind of the best way to get wealth back. And it generates a little bit of free time back as well, depending upon what your job is. Yeah, so there you go. So you do want to mark that separately. Okay, and then your health is your fortitude plus 5. It's on your sheet. Your health is fortitude plus 5. Your psyche is discipline plus 5. Crystal does get a plus 2 to that. And even if your psyche is 5, you still get that plus. It ignores normal limits, that plus 2. So you could if you have 9, you are above 10 because 10 is normally the limit. So there's that. Your initiative is your intuition plus speed. So add those two values together and mark down what your bonus will be to your initiative. Your movement is athletics plus speed plus 5. So mark that down. And then let's see. And then your strength is athletics and might. And that just gives us your strength is essentially, it's just like you have a rough estimation of how strong you are without making rolls.
Okay.
Is essentially what that is. So if you're like, oh, I'm going to pick her up and drag her. I'll be like, what's your strength? And you'll be like, it's 0. I'll be like, oh, she's too heavy. Like you can't do it. You are weak. You'd be like, oh, well, I have a 6. Well, do you want to help out a few other people too? You can carry her and 8 other, a few other people if you want. So it's just like a rough gauge without making rolls. So for instance, if you had a 0 strength and you were like, I want to pick her up and help her, I'd be like, well, cool. You can make a roll now to see if you're strong enough to do it, but you're not strong enough just off the bat to do it. And that's it. That's the last thing.
Oh,
health and psyche, initiative, movement, strength, and then you guys are good to go. And you'll want
names.
What's that?
Do we do names?
Well, yeah, I assume you guys would make up names. It's not like a requirement. I mean, you guys can just walk around nameless people if you want. I assume you already had names in mind. I was thinking the last thing is like, mechanically the last thing is this. I was gonna say the last thing though would be everybody has 3 fragments to start. So write down 3. Everybody has 3 fragments. Legendary axe. This is not something that I use in convention games, legendary axe, but in the game, essentially, once per spark level that you have, you can pull off some amazing, epic, legendary thing that pertains to your dominion. So, for instance, if you were just like, has everybody here like read the book or seen the show American Gods?
Mm. Yep.
Okay. So do you remember the scene where now I think it's Demeter. I'm blanking on the name, but the goddess of like the earth, like the vegetation and the plant life, and she like snaps her fingers and like all of half of the country's like plants and stuff all just die because she's like, you can't have that. That's what a legendary act would be. It would be like something that like is like if we do the normal successes to the measures and all that stuff, it's incalculable. Like, but you're saying I make it happen because I'm the god of that thing, and it did, and it happened. So that's what a legendary act is, and you get 1 per spark. So if you use it now at spark 1, you have to wait until you get enough XP to get to spark 2 before you'll get another. So,
cool.
And you do get 1 per spark. So those really powerful gods, you have to be careful of them because you don't know if they use their legendary axe yet. They might use it on you. So there's that. Yeah. So, and then names, I guess, but I assumed you guys would just send me your characters. So I'll learn their names then. I don't really need to know them right now. But I do, like I said, I have the map here and I'll send it to you guys. This was good though. This was I'm excited for this group here. It's an interesting mix. It'll be interesting to see how you guys all kind of get along. If we had more time, I would say let's talk about that. But we've been here for 3 hours, so we should probably cut it. And maybe first part of the next session, we'll be like, okay, cool. So here's the origin story. And then this is how we all know each other and blah, blah, blah. And then we'll start. I think that's a fun way. And then that gives everybody a chance to like spend their last little points and define their things. And because I know some of you have a couple of things still to spend. But other than that, you know, thank you guys. This already seems like a really cool group, and I can't wait to start playing. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll be back next Wednesday at 8 o'clock as well. And we're going to have a lot of fun. So goodbye, everybody who is here. I noticed that there was a few people here actually watching us make characters. So thank you for that. And we will check you guys out at another time. So see you next week.
Bye.